All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Well, listen, y'all. Y'all know if it is the fourth Friday, y'all know it is time. It is time for the disciples.
Psycho.
So, listen, y'all. They're gonna be up first, of course, 6 to 7 tonight. Um, and we're going to get into a conversation, everything that's going on in our community, particularly a number of areas I want to hit with them. Of course, it's their show, but I want to ask them something from their wisdom and see if they can help us with some of that. So we're going to look to get into that conversation, and then of course, coming up from 7 to 8, we're going to have our good sister, the Assemblywoman, Brittany Timberlake, coming through at 67, and she's going to bring some of the queens that she rock with down in the assembly. So she's gonna come through, and then of course, Brother Zaid, is gonna bring one other outstanding guest through the building tonight. You want to talk about who that is, Brother Zaid?
We're gonna have that's gonna be the hottest half hour in radio history. The great Lawrence Ham and Cookie Rivera. I just got off the call and just started of some witnesses or some folks giving testimony about what happened at Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for women here in New Jersey. This horrible stuff. There's a rally tomorrow that we're going to address tomorrow with Cookie. And then on April 2nd, we're going to observe the 53rd anniversary of Dr. King's assassination with the annual march that the People's Organization for Progress does. And the high point of that will be the solidarity with the Alabama Amazon workers, and they will be joined by the local retail workers union for that march. So it's a hot time. It's a hot time in Old Town tonight.
Okay, Corral.
Can't wait until that conversation gets started, man. Looking forward to it. So of course, Brother Ali, I spoke a little bit to Brother Hockey.
Okay, so he talked to me. So we're good. We're good. He gave me insight. So he won't be on tonight. So
one of them on. He just shared online for the first time the peace agreement.
Right.
We're on the street now. So when we get him back, we got to talk about the peace agreement because he's been doing very well with that.
Okay. Were they able to get that signed, Brother Ali?
Well, he put it out. I haven't seen those signatures on it, but it's a good agreement. And if they can get them all to co-sign on to it, and those who they put in charge, if they can hold them responsible, and if they put responsible homies in charge, then it should work. It should work. It should bring peace to the hood, that the hood will actually have the opportunity to become a neighborhood again. It's definitely a good document. It's geared towards the street boys, but it's still a good document for everybody to participate in.
It's on our page, by the way. Everybody wants to look at it. It's on our page.
It's on the page.
Yes, it is.
I like that concept because if you can get the brothers in the hood, man, to sign a peace document, it gives them some power, right? And two, it gives them a level of responsibility that says, "Yo, here's what we all agreed to," right?
And not only that, it gives them a seat at the table.
Yeah,
versus just being chased. Now they have an opportunity to participate.
Yeah.
In the betterment of their neighborhood.
Right. Wow. I'm impressed. Yeah, you're right. I mean, when we get them back on, it's going to be interesting. And let me ask you a question. Do y'all know all of the groups that signed on in the city of Newark?
Well, it's so many, but you have your main ones. And I put it to you this way: if two sign on and it's work, it's progress.
Okay.
I mean, sign on and carry it out. Because, we can put our signature to a check. It doesn't mean it's going to cash.
Right.
Until it clears the financial institution. Right. Just because your signature is on there does not mean it can't bounce.
Wait till you don't. That's right. Nothing moves till the check clears.
Yeah, nothing moves until the check clear, baby.
That's real talk, man. All right, well, Ali, it's your show, brother. Me and Zaid just along for the ride. Where's Roundtree?
Yeah,
I
she's
thought
supposed to be
I,
on. She
I
said she'd
thought I
be
heard
on.
her. I thought I heard her in the background, but she'll be coming through. Well,
Okay.
for our number one hip hop. This is All Politics and Local. This is your boy, the pastor in the hood, aka Pastor B.R. Ali. What's good, family? It's Friday, it's Disciples Night, and we are glad to be here. So let's get it rocking and rolling. I don't know if DJ Rhino is on with our intro. Otherwise, we ready, brother Ed. Let's rock and roll. You
Let's
said
do
you
it,
had some
man.
questions.
I did. So Ali, I mean, I need y'all input because of course, y'all are the spiritual authority of this night, and I'm curious, man, and I know y'all seeing it like I am. What the hell is going on in Georgia, man? With these cats, and the mayor talked about this a little bit today, with them trying to roll back, the voting rights down in Georgia, back to the 50s, man. Have you seen that? With,
I
with,
saw it. I saw it.
with,
I
with, with
observed
Governor
it.
Kemp?
There have been two young reps who have stood up for that and faced arrest. I can't think of my first sister's name that did it a couple years ago. As soon as she came in, she protested it when they were trying to do something 2 years. Got to recognize who this governor is, right? Kemp. Kemp was the Secretary of State for Georgia, who personally oversaw the purging of at least 1 million people off of the rolls of the state of Georgia on his way to getting the nomination to run for governor for the Republican Party. That's how he won. He stole the election. The election was stolen before it got going because most of those 1 million people were black folks, right? And that's the mechanism they have been using for the last several elections on the state side, and on the net. They've been purging, right? And then if you come up without the proper IDs, you got to deal with that too.
I think but you know
horrible.
what? I think the challenge is, Aito, if you think about it, too many Northerners have moved there that has they so happy to get a house and a home and a driveway.
That they can afford.
They're not participating in the process, and they really don't understand the dynamics. I know my son lives there, his mother and his stepfather lives there, and I have other grandchildren that are being raised there. And in actuality, they really don't have a clue about the history. I remember the first time I went to Georgia and I saw that Confederate flag. I said, what's going on here? How do y'all allow this to be downtown? We had some progressive people that was trying to ban it. But do you know the history of the South? So what has happened is a whole lot of Northerners that moved south. They feel they have got their 4 acres and their driveway for their automobile mule, and they think they have arrived, and they don't know the history of the state, or rather they do not choose to participate in the politics of the state. And we see the results, what we just had, with Reverend Warnock coming out and becoming a senator and stuff like that. What you are seeing is the results of individuals being pissed off now. They just plain mad. And they figure because Warnock is in the Senate now, that black folk will go to sleep. Because we feel like we have arrived and we got what we wanted, and we didn't have anything to want after that. So, Abrams and all of them got to keep fighting, but they're hoping that we go to sleep and they have this stuff in place that 4 years from now, they would say, well, you didn't say nothing 4 years ago. Why are you speaking up now?
But Ali, two interesting things came out of what you just said. Speak a little bit more then about your family. So if those folks who are from the city moved north and just went to sleep, what the hell is that? I mean, they ought to know better.
They when they moved south, they would sleep. I would take it. They were trying to get away. Don't get me wrong. My son had a great upbringing. He's a magnificent father. He has a great home and everything. I don't knock none of that. But he's not politically involved.
Okay. So they would sleep when they went there.
His parents would sleep when they went there. And I feel like a whole lot of my friends, I got a whole lot of friends down there that I went to high school with from Hillside. A lot
of my generation are down there too.
Yeah,
but I will say for the instance, from my generation, they are voting. right?
They voted, but they
The
don't
question
fight.
is a serious
You know,
question.
it's one
I
thing
want
to
you
vote.
to know, Ed, that I'm reaching out to these two sisters that I'm talking about. The one that got arrested yesterday, her name is Park Cannon. She was knocking on the door while the governor was
I
signing
saw
on
that.
the line.
Yeah, I
Right?
saw that.
They're charging her with a felony.
Yeah. What?
And they physically, they physically
They arrested her.
put their hands on her. It was ugly.
Wait. So they charged her with a felony when they arrested her yesterday. They charged her with a felony.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what was the charge?
I have to double check what the language is, but it's a felony, and it's
Wow.
serious. You know, they didn't like release her right away either. They held her for a while.
Okay.
You know,
Wow.
so it's a serious. It's a new battleground. So it's an old battleground, but you know, it's being revved up all over again. You know, let us remember that's what January 6th was all about. You know, it wasn't about
That's right.
just making Trump happy and keeping him in office. It was about invalidating the black vote at any way they can, and they were willing to literally start hurting some of their own. They were just a threshold away from physically hurting people in Congress who don't look like us.
You're right. So true.
And so and you
Okay, that's just so hard too.
hey, there she is.
Well, listen, we got the
Hey,
other
Reverend
we got
Roundtree,
the
my partner.
we got one. Yeah,
Give
we got
us a
the other
shout
one
out, girl.
third.
Give us a shout out. You got your hair done.
What's up? What's up? What's up? You know
see all that color.
your sister. Look, I gotta represent Park Cannon. You know, that black woman knocking on the door and Kemp's off. Listen. That right there. And it wasn't just the regular police, it was the Georgia State Patrol troopers.
Yeah, two great big old.
She was arrested for fighting
Nasty.
voters.
Good.
Listen to this. She was arrested for fighting voter suppression.
That's right.
Wait, that was the charge?
She was go look it up. Not on I didn't read everything, but that was the first thing I read. I think that was it the New York Times? No, that was not. I don't know. I have to go back and look. And they got a picture of them arresting her. Not one officer.
They picked her up. They grabbed this sister.
For fighting voter suppression. So they're
I'm
trying to make
find the
it.
language.
They're trying to make it a felony, saying that she was fighting against the process.
Wow. That's I'm telling y'all, man, this is not about this is all about stopping Stacey Abrams because they know she coming, right?
Oh yeah.
And they know that they got all those people because that's what
they did before.
right, because the mayor said that today, right? Mayor Baraka said today, he said, be clear what it's about, y'all. They trying to stop her now. That's why they changing all the laws, trying to roll back all of the success they had, because they know that
she would be the next governor.
Oh, without a doubt, right? And so that's why they're going back, Zaid, to do some of what you said they did the first time, right? Where you said they knocked all these people off of the voting rolls,
Yes.
and now they going back because they figured out a way to win by getting all these people registered, Ali and Roundtree. Now, all of a sudden, what they're going to do is to come out with all of these mundane and crazy things that prevent people from voting. Right? I mean, I even saw where they said that if you're standing in line, right, you can't even give people water, right? You can't even give them something to eat, right? That would be committing a crime against. But it would be committing a crime against voting in Georgia. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah,
Wait
that's
a minute.
against the elders.
Hold on.
That's
They go
against
to
the
picture.
elders.
They go to picture. Watch this. Cannon's arrest warrant alleges that she stomped on an officer's foot 3 times as she was being apprehended
That's the
and
charge.
escorted out of the property.
It's assault.
Okay. Wow.
No.
Believe it. She thought, wait a minute, hold on, y'all. She's an inch taller than me.
She's
Wow.
100 pounds. This is a tiny thing.
Did she have on your heels?
Too.
Two
Did
big
she have
old
on your heels? Did she have on your
large
heels?
white men.
Wow.
Ah,
Well, Well, see, but that's the thing, Ali. What's going around Tree and Zaid? See, his what's happening, right? They are trying to roll back, at least, Kemp and the Republicans down there. They're trying to go back to, what voting looked like in the 50s, where they
Yeah.
were doing poll
Yeah.
tests and
Yes.
all that stuff for black
Yes.
folks. Like, can you guess how many beans are in this jelly?
Yeah.
Can you tell me, what does the 13th Amendment says? And I mean, all kind of tests for folks to vote. Here's what they know, y'all. They recognize that black folk now understand our power because of what we were able to do to remove Trump from the White House, right? And they recognize it now because black folk organized and gave them 2 senators. And remember, Warnock has to run again in 2 years, y'all, right?
Right, because he's fulfilling a seat.
That's right. And so that's why they're trying to set it up, because they want to make sure that coming up in the Senate race, it doesn't go blue. And then coming up 2 years from then, that it doesn't go blue for Biden again. Because, Biden announced yesterday that he's running for re-election.
After a month.
Huh?
I said after a month in office, 2 months in office, he already ready to run for re-election.
Yeah, he said he's running for re-election, right? And, somebody asked.
Because he gave us some money.
Yeah, so he said
he gave
running
away
for
some money.
re-election. Yeah. But the word is right. I'm not, again, with some of our most well-respected brothers in the black movement community, y'all, already saying that they don't think he's gonna make that though. Right, because of his age.
I personally don't think he's well enough.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're saying. They're saying that they don't think that he's gonna make it because of his age.
And I have no insight on his physical condition.
Me either.
What type
Only
of shape
God
he's in.
knows.
Only God knows, but I don't feel it. The stress of the office.
Yeah,
And he's been around politics so long.
And he would be the oldest president ever.
He finally reached his pinnacle.
Yeah,
And if something happened to him and Harris getting, they're gonna they're gonna lose their mind.
that's right.
Tear this country apart.
That's right. That's right. And because you listen, one is because she's a female, but Roundtree because she's a black female.
She got some color.
Right.
She could have no color in her skin and she might slide through. But she got too much color. They
And that's what they were afraid of, as with having her on the ticket, right? They were getting a black woman on the ticket because of his age and because of what they think his health is. They, folk were just saying, well, we don't know. We feel uncomfortable with that.
But here's the thing. This has been simmering since 2012, right? 2012 was when that case, that Shelby versus Alabama, went to the Supreme Court, and that was the Supreme Court that was just had that 5-4, conservative, so-called liberal balance.
Slant, right?
Right, you're right. And they gutted. That was the beginning of the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, right? And Obama was able to survive that. He got reelected on a good vote, but you began to see the escalation with these state these secretaries of state in these different states around the country start that voter purging. They call it cross-checking. All these names look alike. It must be fraud. And then they're all in black and brown communities. If you're Jones or Hernandez, right, and there's more than one of you, you're getting purged. And
so you can prove you are who you are.
Right. And on top of that, once elections come up, they started shutting polling places down in black and brown communities, which is something that they did that goes back to when they stole the election from Kerry back in 2000 and when the hell did Kerry run against Bush? 2004.
He ran back.
Right. Right. That's what they did to him in Ohio. Right. They were doing that all over the country. Right. So that's the formula that has been in motion since 2012 in a very aggressive way since that happened, right? Trump wins, it gets another boost, right? And Georgia was Georgia and Florida, in terms of the widest spread or the deepest spread of numbers, right? And with an emerging, black candidates. In spite of that, right? The young brother that ran for governor down there, he was close. What's Andrew? What's his last name?
Andrew Gillum.
Gillum, right? He
Gillum.
got close, right? And it was the same formula. They were able to knock off enough black and brown voters off the polls to just barely beat him, right? And that's how they beat Abrams. I mean, Kemp alone was at least 1 million people. The Brennan report has documented this thoroughly in terms of how they were rolling, right? So this is a continuation of that, right? That they weren't able to stop them. They weren't able to get Trump back in. They did continue to pack these state and federal courts and the Supreme Court with these backward judges. So if this goes up to the high court, look who we got to rely on to oversee this.
They're gonna kick it back down, or they're gonna make a vote.
So we're truly at a crossroads of what's left our so-called voting rights. And I say straight up, just based on their violence, I'm telling the kids already, y'all better train up, because we might have to fight these folks again. And I mean fight.
Yeah.
Physical fight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Ahmaud Arbery was all about. I mean, it's ugly. It's really ugly.
Yeah, I think what's happening is that these folks are clear that it's really going to be a fight for the power of this country, right? And I think that what they saw, with Biden and Harris, was that black folks clear, and remember, still the mass majority of us still did not vote, but I think that they understand that black folk are clear that if we organize, we can control, which is what Amiri said. Amiri said there was 27 states in America where black people populate, and he said if we organize properly, he said we can control the governments in those states.
That's right.
And then in those particular states, we can affect national politics, which is what happened, right? Georgia, Pennsylvania, right? Iowa, what was it? Wisconsin, right? Made all the difference in the world.
That's right.
And so that
Ed, let's talk.
Go ahead.
Did you see the op-ed? Did you see the op-ed that Reverend David Jefferson sent to the Star Legend?
No, I didn't see
regarding
that.
Murphy. Yeah,
No. What was that?
This past week he sent the op-ed.
I got to see that.
He went in on Murphy.
Pastor Jefferson is not one to go off too tough, but he let Murphy
went off
know
on
how
this
he feel.
one.
Yeah,
he went off on this one. Said you haven't done anything for black folk. You done bamboozled them. You're weak. You did this. You forgot about who elected you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He went in on him because he's got that court case where they were supposed to control some of the pensions in the state.
It's all
Never
about
gave
the
it
money.
never gave it to the black firm, but he put a strong argument up there, especially at the time when Governor Murphy is trying to get signatures so he can get back on the ballot.
Right.
It was perfect timing to strike.
Yeah, I did not see that, but listen, he can't make it without Newark. Right?
How about that?
If he doesn't get Newark and Mayor Baraka to support him, it ain't gonna happen. And I think that if I listen, I'm not in the room in terms of him and Metropolitan Church, so I don't know what's going on over there. But if I was him, I'd be trying to find a way. If I want to be reelected, I'd try to find a way to make peace with the people in the city of Newark, right?
Absolutely.
And go and sit down and figure out what is it going to take. And because if he promised to give some of that money to
Y'all need to know the backdrop of that. We got to be careful. I just want to intervene on this conversation.
Intervene on it, baby.
Because we can always look at things from one side that we hear and one side that we read. But if you weren't in the room to hear all the sides, it's kind of hard to put a puzzle together with bits and pieces. You go buy a puzzle and you finish and we get down to the last piece and you still got holes in it. That's a problem. You don't have a completed picture. So before we start, and everything that you guys are saying is all correct. And I'm not saying that anything you're saying is incorrect. And yes, Dr. Ali, my brother knows that people are wise enough to know when to hit, because if you don't get what you want and you're not, and they're not giving you and making you happy and making you smile, now you're going to come attacking folk. That's fine. Attack them. Go ahead. Do what you got to do to get what you got to get. But don't drag everybody in your fight until they know what they're fighting about. Sometimes we jump in the ring, get all beat up and don't even know why we got beat up. And then might not even needed to be at the fight. I'm like with the mayor. When the mayor says, look, if I got to get in a fight and I call you, at least be able to fight. But I know if the mayor called me, I'm coming for a legitimate. He ain't calling me on no foolishness. Never not calling me on no foolishness. No personal agenda. He's not calling me because he didn't get what he wanted or it didn't work out for him. He's calling me because it's something legitimate on behalf of the people. What people are we talking about? Who didn't get what?
Yeah.
Who got an agenda? So I'm just saying, while we trying to figure out who needs to make peace with who, we make peace with God. God will direct you, and then you go in the way you need to go. And I'm not saying this against the piece that Jefferson wrote, that 5-page letter. He didn't just start attacking him. This went
Was
back.
it 5 pages? It was 5 pages.
Don't get me started.
I'm picking with you, girl.
I don't want to give it no relevance.
I'm picking with you. No, I'm picking with you. I'm picking with you. I'm joking.
Know, but I mean, this isn't the first time, and I mean, they come after
It's an old fight. It's an old fight.
It's an old fight.
Let me ask you a
over some old money that Murphy didn't even. Don't get me started because I don't like to have these.
Yeah.
You got to know where it began.
Yeah.
And now where they're looking for somebody to pick up and make right.
Yeah.
So the person that started this ain't even around to make it right. Now they trying to make somebody else make it right. And there were some things. Listen, do your research, and we can talk about this on the next show after you get it all get the whole story. Because right now we just putting it out there and giving something relevant, and just like they locked that woman up, they knocked on the door. We know why she got locked up. We know for a fact. They know secret. We know the whole story. They trying to stop us. They're thinking about 4 years from now, and they trying
2 years.
Prepare. No, 3 now. Yeah. For the election year.
Ed, let me ask you all politics a local
Let me
question.
go back on mute.
Let me ask
Stay
you all
off mute, girl.
local question. Has Murphy ever been on the show since he's been governor?
No, we tried to get him on. He said, but let me put it to you this way. I supported Murphy. Let me just be transparent for a moment.
We all
I
did.
supported
Yeah, I
Murphy.
think we all did.
And in essence, Murphy gave me everything I asked for because I didn't ask for anything but
That's right.
access.
Wow.
And
That's
when
right.
I needed to sit down when he came to my church for a program, and I needed to sit down with Hicks over this whole end of mayhem, he set up the meeting. He tried to get me to accept Hicks without me meeting Hicks, and I told him that was not going to happen. I was not just one to jump on the bandwagon and say he's a good guy because you say he's a good guy. But Hicks said Hicks got some issues up there at Mayhem. He was trying to work on them. And I will say this, the brother is a good brother.
Ali, who is Hicks? For people who don't know.
He's the director of corrections, so to speak. He the head man in charge of the Department of Corrections.
Oh, wow! Yeah, his name is on the chopping block now. That's for sure.
Yeah, but a lot of it is he sat down and he understood what he had going on there because I questioned him about in the mayhem. He told me he had a committee looking at it, so I guess his committee was not strong enough or not good enough. And see, a lot of times what they do is when they get into office, they pull folk who have no connection to the hood or the people that are incarcerated.
Right, absolutely.
And you sit them in a room and drink coffee and drink a soda and eat a Danish for an hour. That's not intervening. That's not intervening. And they got major problems out there. I've had members that are been inmates there. They tell me it's terrible. It's terrible. They know how to cover it up because Roundtree and I got colleagues that go there and deal with the women and do a Pamela Jones.
Right.
Pastor Pamela Jones does an excellent job of women coming out of there.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
y'all ready for
issues.
Huh?
I'm listening.
Y'all ready for this? Sala was talking about that when she was inside. Sala was talking about how far back this goes. Sala got liberated in 79.
Right. They go way back.
She was talking about it back then.
79, 40 plus years ago.
How about that?
So it's a problem anytime you got women gathered, just like you got men gathered. But when you only have one prison for women, that's it. And all the stuff that goes on. It may be, I mean, I had a member just come home. She told me it was terrible in there. Terrible. She said, don't get fooled by the people that visit for the hour or 2 or 3 hours and intervene with us and stuff like that. Said it's terrible in here. And we get abused all the time. Not just by those that got caught, but it's kind of a mentality in the prison. In Edna Mayhem.
I was literally on a hearing of some folks who survived that just before I got on with y'all, right? And when we end the night, we're going to end it with Cookie Rivera talking about some of that, and the rally that we're organizing for tomorrow down there to turn the light of day up on that, because that really, we got to really turn that up, you know. So you brought that brother up. You know, that was a heavy segue into what we're gonna get into later on.
And I believe he can handle the weight, but I'm not about making him the scapegoat of something that's been going on even before he came to New Jersey.
It sounds like it. This definitely predates him.
But they're trying to make it seem like it's all on him now.
Yeah.
So this, you know, listen, you know, I hear what Roundtree is saying, but let's be clear, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you haven't done right for the voters in the city of Newark, you know, that's like people like to use this term, you know, what is it? What is it they say about boats? All tides lift all boats, right? Well, it wasn't all tides who got you elected, because if you go back and look at those numbers, remember that brother was the first one to bring this up, the brother who was in charge of his transition teams, i.e. Down in North. Remember he said that Murphy got 94% of the black vote? I forget the brother's name.
You're not talking about Jim Johnson?
No. He's in charge of that organization downtown in Newark. Been on the show a couple of times, Brother Zach.
You're talking about
Ryan Hager. I was muted. I'm sorry.
Right, Ron Hager. Yep. Hager.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan, New Jersey Social Institute of Justice.
That's right. He was the first one to bring that up.
Well, let's be clear.
Together around it.
Let's be clear. There's an African American man that ran his operation that was responsible for the 94%. So let's be clear. Let's call a spade, and we're gonna talk about the 94%. People talk about it, but there was a person driving that operation. It didn't just drop out the sky because we just decided we wanted to do it. Someone was driving that operation. And when you start talking about whether they're doing what's right by the community and for the people, what is what's right for the people? What is the list? Give me a list. What's right? Not enough jobs, not enough money coming to the city, not enough things being done regarding economic development. What is the state? Because he's the governor of the whole state, not just black folk. But if the African American was 94% of the population, I mean, that assisted him in getting elected, then what is it that we are missing? I'm not saying, listen, I'm not.
No, you asking what did we ask for? What did we ask for from the door?
Not only what do we ask for from the door, what is it that he has not done that we did ask for, and what should we have asked for that we didn't, that we not complaining that he's not doing? And I'm not going to put myself in the we. I should say, y'all. Let me stop. But no,
you in the we. Your name, y'all.
You're not going with us. You're not going with us.
When you're having these conversations, we had a conversation similar to this not long ago about the president when he got elected. We were talking about his cabinet and the people he was picking, and was enough people of color, and what is he going to do? Did we ask for anything? We were so excited about getting him in and getting Trump out. Now here we are, 4 years into a governorship and in the state of New Jersey, and we talking about now he didn't do this, and what did he not do? So when you come to the table, and start putting a blanket statement about he is not taking care of, what is it? They was mad at Obama because he wasn't serving collard greens and potato salad and chicken in the Rose Garden, and he was the president of the United States of America. Okay, so I'm just I gotta mute myself again.
No,
Somebody
what
got
we had to
This
do,
is your
what we had to,
statement. You ain't
what we
got
had
to
to do.
yourself.
Let's
Put it in the chat.
let's
Whoever's listening out there, put it in the chat.
no,
He
let's
didn't
put
do
Derek.
this. He didn't do that.
Let's bring Derek Green back in.
Yeah, I think that
Well,
that
Derek, I bumped his, but Derek did something dirty to us once upon a time that he just didn't have to do. He lived, you know, this is the last thing I expected to talk about tonight. But since you raised him the year before, 2019 was a big year in terms of, you know, the milestone of our people being brought here in chains, right? And we got the Amistad Commission that we're trying to strengthen and whatnot. We had a whole, when I'm saying we, I should say she. Stephanie James Harris had a whole.
Oh, that's our girl.
She had a whole delegation of teachers, black, brown, and white, several hundred, ready to go to Jamestown to participate in all of the educational trainings on race and the history of race in the United States to bring back into our schools, not just in Newark, but up and down the state. And it got blocked because that brother got in the way.
All right, let me stop right there because they talk every single day. Dr. Stephanie Harris, which was on this show not long ago, is on the phone, a part of Derek's team every single day with a group called Interfaith Action Movement. Every single day, unless she's doing something else. I don't know what happened with that. And I don't know
what happened with that.
But whatever it is.
News, we got a letter there. I mean, I did an open letter that called it out. Now, you know, I mean, Murphy did try to send some money to the Amistad Commission way after that to clean that up. But he wasn't the one that made the mistake. All Derek Green had to call the Department of Education and the funding that was used for the trip because it was.
Okay, who said that?
And I ain't talking about Murphy now. Listen to me clearly.
I hear you. And I'm going to ask you, Bobby, I'm going to ask you, who authorized Derek Green to have the autonomy to make a call to OK funding? I don't know. School me, because I don't know.
Yeah, but that's all. But that's all he had to do. That's what I'm saying.
All he had to do was pick up the phone.
He said he was going to do it.
Okay.
Didn't do
him
it.
All alone would have made it happen.
It messed up everything.
I'm saying him all alone would have made it happen.
Huh?
Him all by him lonesome. All he had to do is pick up the phone. It was in his lap.
To do, right? And it was terrible. But he let me make this plain. See, and this is the Baraka in me coming out, right?
Don't make me start because
he wasn't the
got
only
some Baraka blood in.
See, he wasn't the only one. See, jealousy within this class divide is wild too, right? The guy that's the head of the Education Commission has had some jealous tendencies of Stephanie Harris, right? That's where it really all started. Instead of embracing it and getting out in front of it the way they should have, they held it up. It was terrible. Now, of course, we put it on blast because we weren't quiet about it, right? And when we put it on blast, then Murphy started doing other things to try and repair it because Stephanie's standing tall, and Green had to clean that up, you know. But it was terrible, you know.
So you know what I'm going to do? Let me tell you what, Barbara.
I'm not.
Let him come on the show.
Wait a minute. I'm not holding Murphy accountable for that. Green did that.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell you something, and because I think that with this conversation here, anybody we are personally connected to, professionally, I think if we know him well enough, we can bring him here and have a conversation, especially if it's whether it's new news, old news, any news. I think that if there's an issue
into election battleground, we're gonna have a bunch of them in anyway.
So let me ask you something. So where is it now, sir?
Well, like I said, Murphy basically cleaned up for them.
So you tell it. How do you know that? I'm just asking you to school me while you're schooling the audience.
I mean, he made several different resource overtures.
He made them. Oh, he decided.
Murphy did. Murphy cleaned them up.
Nobody came to him and made recommendations that he should do this.
The recommendations were very clear. They were made from the door.
From who? From who?
From a network of teachers.
Okay, so he didn't just arbitrarily decide he was going to do this. It came as a directive or recommendation from somewhere that made
Yeah,
Murphy say, you know what?
Yeah, it didn't come out of the
Maybe
sky.
we better.
Yeah, you know, but see the thing, what I'm
But
trying
Murphy
to
didn't do it alone. Murphy did it with the assistance of recommendations of networks of people that said, hey, wait a minute.
Murphy was not gonna let his Negroes make him look bad. You hear what I'm saying to you? That's what that happened. That's what that was.
Well, let me ask this question because we're pretty hot up in here.
Yeah,
Smoking
this is
weed.
Go ahead,
this is
Big Bro.
this is hot.
The disciples.
Who been smoking weed since it became legal?
Not me.
I can't afford to be forgetting nothing. I need my head to be
Yeah.
clear.
Listen, I used to smoke about a half ounce when I was in the street.
The reason why I brought that up because remember,
I had a doctor. Ed, do you remember Barbara Justice?
I do.
Barbara
Absolutely.
was my doctor for a little while, right?
Wow, really?
And she has suggested to me, I had some pulmonary trauma.
Right.
Some years ago, about 25 years ago. I had a trachea torn up, you know, and when I had
Wow.
an anesthesiologist, right? And it left me with a lot of, chest pains, right? And she said, medical marijuana would be good for you. I said, you ain't gonna touch that because you a good moose wolf. I said, yeah, I am. But she started talking about that. This is back in the late 1980s.
Yeah.
She was talking about the value of medical marijuana.
Right. Well, they
So
were
that's a
using
whole
it for glaucoma, right?
Do an update on, because that's another thing that folks are arguing about.
the
Illegalized
reason why
the crime is
the reason why I brought it up.
But when it comes to the money, it's the folks at the table don't look like us.
Yeah.
So the reason why I brought that up is
Ain't
because
nobody
they were supposed to have a
fault,
black
but
man, on the advisory council. And
Right.
they just supported a guy,
Yes.
one of Cory Booker's
Yep.
aides.
Yep.
Do you know him, Roundtree?
Yeah.
Is he gonna be valuable or is he just a token?
You know what I always say? It won't take but 30 days to find out because they can be
All
valuable
right.
and still turn into a token.
Amen to that.
Well,
Yeah, they be good with us. Wait a minute.
Ah,
Papa, they be good with us and get in there and be a whole nother.
Right. It
well,
starts showing.
cast a couple of checks and it's over.
Yeah, no.
yeah, but that's the thing I'm telling y'all, right? I think that we've got to be careful because all of this stuff is about politics, right? All of it,
There's a bit of it.
right? And we got to be clear that because Roundtree, when you start talking about what did someone do, what didn't they do, and so forth. All I can tell you is that when that brother comes on Haggard and he lays out the record and he starts talking about they spent over $300,000 per child that they got locked up in this state.
Right.
He's been trying to get them to redirect that money right to different programs to help he's talking about young African American children, not talking about white children. Now he was talking about young African American white children. And so when he lays that out, and then he lays it out from the perspective of somebody who's on the inside looking at these numbers, we have to be clear that if because I just heard Ali said, well, I voted for him and I didn't want nothing from him but access, then that's cool, right? But if there are other people who said, yeah, we want something for giving you this vote, then then we ought to be saying, well, we didn't get what we wanted or we got what we wanted. But if we're gonna reelect him, then I think there should be a negotiation this time, especially if people said that they didn't get what they wanted.
And let's also be something.
You know what? I'm gonna
Nobody
say
here on this line is ridiculous, immature, or crazy either, right? We know what we had when we put him in that we were getting rid of, before him. We know what we had in the mess that was Chris Christie. We know what we could have with somebody with some elements that are even more backwards than Christie is, that would love to replace him. And there are even other backwards, more corrupt elements within the Democratic Party, right? That we need to be careful about too. So and we have to weigh all of this, put everything on the table and ultimately move on the basis of what's in the best interest of our people. we can have a rocky relationship with somebody we can have a relationship with, as opposed to somebody who we can't have a relationship with at all. We may have to do that, but we should be clear and not apologetic about what it is that we need to insist on.
Well, I think Haygood is going to be, in my mind, Roundtree and Ali. I think Haygood is going to be one good brother for us to have come on this show, in the near future, and ask him to lay it out for us.
Well, let me say this: I'm not one to have one person determine everything. When I was in school, they just didn't give me one subject that was going to help me graduate. I had to study depending upon what I was specializing in. When I went to seminary, I had to take a whole bunch of courses. When I was taking political science was my major, to criminal justice, but I had to take some biology and some other things. That's one perspective. That's one area of research. You have people like Charles Boyer. You have a whole lot of folks that have information regarding what the demographics, what areas they think that we have fallen short in receiving what we should have received from a governor or someone in leadership. Look, let me tell you something. When Sharp James was in office, and everybody thought he was the greatest mayor, but you can be the greatest landlord, and there's going to be one person that says there's a crack just right by the corner, about big as a matchstick it probably is, because there's got to be some controversy or opposition no matter what. And I welcome it. I think it's a good thing. I think that people should have an opinion. I think people should do research and present those things to the people, especially those people that don't know and don't even do any research. But the truth is, we can bring Ryan on, but I think that you should talk about Derek Green. You should bring him on, and I think you should talk about some of these other folks that we bring.
Try and bring Murphy on.
We can do that too. I think he called in when we first started.
He did call in.
He called in. When we first started the show, we asked him to call into one of our shows when we first started. And then the next time we asked Dr. Derek Green to come in as a faith leader and as a person having been in that position. And they came for him. Some of the same people that's now came for him because of what he had accomplished. Some of the people he fed, some of the people and this happens a lot. And we find a way to blame our own when things don't go a certain way, but sometimes it's us that made the situation or didn't research the situation well enough to have a conversation and say, you know what? Wow, that's what really happened. Because we have a way of painting pictures of making ourselves look bad too. Some of our own people will throw us under the bus, and we wasn't even trying to walk across the street. They'll come get us and throw us.
Well, I think all that you've said, Sister Roundtree, is right. Listen, this is y'all show. I'm just simply saying, from my perspective, and of course, as we look at, because as I said, I'm not in the room. I don't know what happened with, in regards to Metropolitan and him and all of that. But I do know that, some of the things that were put out there in regards to Murphy in his campaign and in regards to his governorship, I think that, those brothers would be excellent to have on. And the thing I do know is that I would tell you there's a difference between somebody giving you hearsay and then somebody giving you direct testimony.
Yes,
and Haygood is somebody who was part of the staff who can give us direct testimony.
Absolutely. I went with them when they did the tour. Ali, didn't you go? We did the tour. We've been in meetings with Ryan Haygood. We was down in, was it Jamestown? Where we go?
Jamesburg.
We're down in a big old meeting with the state regarding closing down that large facility because of the money that it costs to have 7 people in that place on land that you could put housing on for people to live in that need somewhere to live. We have been in meetings on top of meetings, some hosted by Ryan, some hosted by other folk, combating this youth incarceration. We talked about programming, not instead of from the pipeline to prison, for young people I'm still waiting right now while all of this conversation's been happening. And I know Ryan's been working hard. But Ali, whatever happened to those conversations with the program?
You know how it be. We ate, and we slept on the way back, and they never followed up.
This is 3 years ago, and it wasn't Governor Murphy. He wasn't leading the charge.
No, it was us, and we dropped the ball.
And then we blame him and say, "Oh well, you know, you didn't do what we need you to do." Meanwhile, let me be very clear: some of these people talking is getting federal funding. Their programs is being. Come on, don't.
And last but not least, before we go,
they're doing a great work, but
they get tapping both sides. Let's talk about our sister Ava Muhammad.
Come on here.
Let's talk about her comment on Brother Edge. You sent it out to us. I listened to the sister. I listened to what she said. You know, I'm one who got the shot. I understand. Right. I understood her logic. I understood that it's experimental. I understand all that. But let me just be very clear. At 62 years old, I can't wait 15 years with the health conditions I have.
That's
for something
right.
to be cleared up. So that's just my point. Not knocking nothing she said, because that was my same argument. It came on so quickly. But this is a pandemic. It came on. Nobody know the side effects. I used to smoke a whole lot of cocaine. I used to cut it with straight up ammonia. Carsdale clear ammonia. And I would cut all the cut off of it. I smoked straight up cocaine. I cut it back to its purest base and everything. And I never knew what was in the cut. I never knew the side effects, et cetera, et cetera.
But you knew it was in that ammonia, huh?
I was smoking. But I said it to say that for some people who are on the fence, know why you take it or why you don't take it.
Right.
Just don't jump on a side and say, well, we don't know the side effects. And the reason why I say that, you know, I sit on the board of a local health center. And when we went back to get our second shot, you know, it's more lighter hue people rushing to Newark. I didn't know we had so many lighter hue people.
Made a point to mention that.
Ali, you got to look at the numbers. While
I never knew we had that many.
Talking about conspiracy theories and being concerned and all of this, I got the statistics in the state of New Jersey alone. We are the lowest. We are the lowest percentage. And we are the largest percentage that are leaving here as a result of this virus.
How about that?
It's amazing. And I don't tell nobody what they should and should not do. You need to decide for yourself, just like when you come to God.
For yourself,
you need to decide for yourself if you want to be Muslim, whatever you want to follow, whatever movement. You need to decide for yourself. But it's something to look at when they run into it and their numbers are larger because they don't want to take no chances. They run
no
it.
chances.
We talk about
begging for it.
Our history is what has us in the position
that's right
that we are.
And our history
when
is
it comes to the thought process.
That's right.
We haven't had good experiences with being experienced. Look, they took. Yeah, we haven't had good experiences.
I would say that given our history, the degree to which we have been voluntarily coming forward has still been exceptional.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, because the history is bad, and people have
the history sucks. Don't get me wrong, the history sucks, Bob.
You know, so but the fact that, you know, everybody that we know, everybody that we love, can identify somebody that we love who ain't here this stuff. I mean, I got a list. We all got a list. Y'all serving people that y'all got congregations that have got taken their chunks out of your congregation.
Over 900 people.
So let me say this. So let me ask you all this. We got 5 minutes, but in terms of that conversation, Ali, you know, with what Ava Muhammad was laying out, right? She, you know, of course, she laid out that whole thing, and Hakanat today was trying to get in touch with Malik. Brother Malik Muhammad out of California. He was the one that brought one of the Kennedy people to Minister Farrakhan, who laid out, you know, some of the tricks and things that were being done with the vaccine and all of that. So we were hoping to be able to reveal some of that. Of course, we don't know all of that, but you're right. People have to find out for themselves.
And make that decision for themselves.
Right.
I tell people that, Brother Ed, when people come and ask me for advice, because you can mess around and end up in court or dead behind giving people advice. Okay.
Right.
So when people ask me, I always tell them, you gotta do this for yourself. I don't want nobody to come back and say, well, if Reverend Roundtree had not said, then they wouldn't be dead. I don't want that will never be.
But Roundtree, but let me just say this, right? Two things. One is that I think I hear what Sister Ava is saying. That's why I sent it to y'all to hear it for yourself. In terms of what, as a doctor, her and Eileen, leading that with the Nation of Islam, I hear that. However, I asked the question like Mayor Baraka asked the question. So then what's the alternative, right?
Absolutely.
And me and Zaid heard the alternative, right? The alternative is, according to Mayor Baraka, he said, didn't he tell us this last week, Brother Zaid? He said that Cuba has 4, right?
Right.
Vaccines.
That's
but
right.
that the United States government will not allow them, right, to release them in the United States. So if you still have masses of black people that don't trust them, well, why not release that if that's also going to have a 90 to 95% efficacy rate, so that those of us who don't trust you might take that in order to protect ourselves and other Americans. So that's why the mayor said he was working with other mayors to try to get that released.
And I agree. Go ahead. And I think in essence, when you look at the total picture of the whole dynamic, let every man be persuaded by his own mind.
That's
own
right.
mind.
Yes, sir.
And you have to do some research. I think in essence, this afternoon, I was at New Jersey Transit. One of my ministers died, was a worker for them. They named a dog after her for the police force. It's K9 Stokes. They brought a dog in from Czechoslovakia that's going to be training for bombs and different things. They honored her. This is one of my ministers that died of COVID. They honored her today by naming that dog after her. Well, her name will continue on. We were there. They didn't have to do it. Her legacy will live on. But I said that to say this, that was a pain in our heart because we lost one. We lost one who came to me when we had to shut the church down, told me she had just got Sundays off. By May, I was burying her.
She's a beautiful sister too. I remember her.
Oh yeah, Shonda. I was burying her by May.
Beautiful sister. It was a heartbreaker.
It
I was
broke my heart.
back to our work. This show, sharing this microphone, right? I was impressed by our young man at University Hospital, right? Dr. Sharif Alatar, who put himself on the line to take the shot, right? And he was, he said, I'm going to be transparent, right? I'm not going to tell anybody to not do this that I'm not doing myself, right? I have great respect for that young man for doing that, right? And that led to other people, of notoriety doing that too. Larry Hamm, who we're gonna have on a little while, he made it known. He put it on Facebook. I did the shot today.
Right.
I did that. My little sister Queen Latifah made a point to come up to do it. So I admire, and that has helped a lot of our people who are on the fence. When in fact we out of all the folks that are not getting it, we needed more than probably anybody else.
Right. I'm simply saying, y'all, like Mayor Baraka, right? I agree with that. And Zaid, you and I said that to him, right?
That's right.
That for everybody, and he said it, right? If America is really concerned about everyone being vaccinated, let's make all the vaccinations available, right? Let's make them all available.
Right.
So
Right. I agree with that.
Way, for people who don't trust this vaccination, at least if you want to make sure that we can open the country back up and everyone gets vaccinated. So if you have what's in jar A and the people that don't trust what's in jar A and jar B and C is available, who cares? Let's make sure we give it to them so that we protect the country and we protect them. That's it.
I agree.
Right? And that's all I'm saying, Brother Ali. So because I agree with Mayor Baraka, what's the alternative? If we don't have an alternative and all we got is Moderna, if all we got is Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, right? And if that's all we got, then we don't have any other alternative. We literally have to trust these people
That's
in
right.
order to save our lives.
That's right. That's right.
Because if everybody around us is dying, and then
That's
we
right.
see all these other people rushing to get this shot,
That's
and then
right.
we don't get it, and then we still dying, well, what's the alternative? Death? Is that an alternative?
Or watching our loved ones die, and then getting back to a point.
We all lost loved ones, and
You know,
I'm gonna tell you this, Ed. This joker had me on the ropes and out on my damn feet. Hey, it was combat. It was full hand-to-hand combat. You know, it was like we've been to Joe Frazier. It was like Joe Frazier on my ass.
You know how deadly it could be.
but he spared you, and everybody don't have that story to tell.
Right.
You can come back and talk about what you went through and how it took
but the
you
mercy
down.
of God of our ancestors.
Right.
You know.
Well, I
Man.
think that.
Listen, your work's not done, Baba. You got a whole lot.
All praise is due to Allah.
Well, I think that's the conversation we're gonna have to have going forward, because
Yes, sir.
you know, I heard the mayor say today. He said that this piecemealing this thing ought to stop, right?
That's
That they
right.
ought to just say that anybody who wanted, as long as there's a vaccine available, you should be able to go get it
Right.
if you want it, right? So release all the vaccines wherever they coming from, and everything should be available.
Oh, we got some
so
big
that
stuff
we can just
happening.
make it available.
We
Right.
got some big stuff happening in Newark, Brother Ed. The mayor talked about it tonight, so I know I'm free to talk about that. Congressman Cyrus applauded the announcement of a mass vaccination site in Newark, New Jersey. The White House announced it. There would be one of 3 locations housing federally run mass vaccination sites, 6,000 per day at NJIT. And so we're excited about that, Brother Ed. Of course, we have mass operations all over the city running right now, but this is huge. The White House, along with Governor Murphy and our mayor, they're doing a magnificent job with the planning of this. What we're going to need is people to just register. They can call my office. They can register NorCovid19.com, or they can call 973-733-5605, the Mayor's Office of Clergy Affairs, or they can email the Newark People Assembly. I'll send all of that information to you. But
Oh, you should have brought it. We could have put that we could have put that out.
6,000. I'm going to email you the information right now.
Tell me.
I'm going to send it to you right now. 6,000. And we have 3,600. The faith base took on an operation
Good.
of registering 3,600. This is separate. 3,600 in the next 2 weeks at Jehovah Jireh Praise and Worship Center. We'll be doing 1,800, 400 or better per day at Jehovah Jireh. We'll be administering the Moderna vaccine. And folks can also call 973-733-5605 for that, or they can go to NorCovid19.com. And I'm just telling .gov. And it's just going to be amazing. We're talking about over 300,000. You do the math. They're going to be in Newark for 8 weeks, 8 long weeks. And it would be sad, Newark, New Jersey, if you don't come and be a part and make sure that we walking around talking about, we want the mask off. If you and your family your entire family's been vaccinated, you could sit in a place with your mask off. But if you go to your cousin's house and she hasn't been vaccinated, and you think because she cousin, you can just take it off and y'all good? Absolutely not. Not only can you infect her, but you can create a problem for that household. So, like you said, what are the alternatives? You do the math and you do the figuring out. The math on how many people have left here, over 500,000 people.
Let me
And
get
they're still leaving here.
Put that in the put that up so we can put it in.
I'm doing it now.
Okay. Go ahead, Zaid.
973-733-5605. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And I'm emailing you. I'm emailing flyers. I'm sending you everything. We'll be at Rafael Hernandez the week of the 5th, between the 5th and the 9th, doing 1,800 vaccines there. We have a few spots left, just a few. for both weeks, but for the most part, the 3,600 are done, and now we working on Newark being a part of the 6,000 per day. We got over 300,000. Listen, the operation I'm doing is taking undocumented, underlying issues. You know, just come. That's the one from the 30th, the 29th to the 1st of April. In Jehovah Jireh, and again that number is 973-733-5605. I'm going to the page, so I put it in here. And I just had it. And I'm emailing you the information. I'm emailing you all of this, Riley.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
We need to put that up. We need
The numbers up. I got the number up. Thank you, Mike.
And yeah, Mike, when you get a chance, put that on so it's rolling across so people can see it.
Yeah, it's rolling now.
Okay. And brother Ali, you have any final words before we close out the disciples, my brother?
Oh man, I'm just getting ready for Passion Week. I'm excited about Holy Week and Resurrection Sunday coming. So that's all I got to say.
How about that? The Holy
Right,
and that's the only day. That's the only day we will not be doing the vaccines at the church. The only day, you know, Dr. Ali, Bishop Carlton, we know where we're going to be on the 2nd of April on that day. But I'm just telling you, Brother Ed, it is so important that our people understand that if you weren't on some of these prayer lines that we do every single night, Councilwoman, if you weren't on the other end of the line to hear people talk, and I always bring this man up because we need to keep him along with so many in prayer. Got a call one day from Bishop Carlton, the next day from somebody else saying that this man's wife was dying. The first day it was this man's father-in-law. The next day it was his daughter. And then a couple of days later, it was his brother. And I had no idea. They were all talking about the same man. And within 1 week, he had lost his wife, his daughter. And I called him. I said, I called to pray with you. He said, well, I would ask you to pray for my family, but when I woke up this morning, they were all gone. When you hear that type of stuff, and he came to the mayor's candlelight because the mayor did something in memory at that point. At that time, the number was like 761. We're over 900 now, you know, and I want to see my granddaughter's children if I can, and maybe they should. I want to live to see that. Now, if I leave here, it won't be because I was ready or that I didn't try to do what was necessary to stay.
I know that's right.
Hey, look, Roundtree. All I'm saying, Roundtree, is that all of us as Black folks in this country, right, have you know, I mean, we don't have any other alternative than what's available to us now. So we all taking one hell of a chance with our life and trusting our very open end, right? You know, we know what America has done to us. We know what they continue to do to us, especially around voting and dialing back certain things with policy and our health. So we all take a major risk. But like the mayor said, what other alternative do we have?
Yeah.
Well, the one alternative I have is I trust the Creator. I trust my Creator first and foremost.
Reverend
And that's what you gotta do.
Pastor Ali and Reverend Roundtree, are you guys? Pastor Ali and Reverend Roundtree, are you guys doing anything on Good Friday? Is anything happening?
There's so many services, girl.
Okay.
It's too many names.
Okay. So people will be doing the 7 last words. Okay.
A lot of virtual.
Okay, got you. Okay, all right.
Are they in person?
Some
No,
are.
most are virtual.
Most are virtual. Okay.
I got one church, they're gonna have speakers outside. They got people registering to come inside and they're doing virtual.
If you could send that over to us, that'll be helpful. So we
I
can.
gotta find the
Okay.
That's one of your sons, Ali. Promised Land.
Uh-huh.
Well, listen, man, I don't know where the hour went. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so much other stuff I wanted to get to, but Ali, when you dropped the bomb, you know, we just had to keep going. Right? You know what I mean? I gotta.
Well,
I
exploded in
the air.
yeah, it got hot and heavy kind of quick. You know what I mean? Hey, Ali, it was almost as bad as the one y'all almost had me cussing at with John one night. You know?
Never that bad, never that good, never that good. Never that good.
But listen,
That
man, I
was good.
appreciate it.
I'm putting some stuff in the chat.
All right.
Great. I appreciate
Did you see the email I sent?
No, I didn't see it yet.
I sent
Uh,
it.
Okay, I'll check my email. I appreciate the disciples. I appreciate y'all coming through and
We
doing the show.
appreciate you.
And of course we we missed our brother Haq Muhammad tonight.
Amen.
So I know if he was in it, it'd be even hotter.
That's right.
It would have been.
Yeah,
Would've
we'd
been.
have flames all over the place. You know what I mean? But I thank
All
y'all for coming through and doing the disciples tonight. Thank y'all so much.
You know about the
right,
mayor's
man.
men's
Peace and
meeting?
love. We love you.
All right,
You know about the mayor's men's meeting?
I do. You know,
that's
we'll announce it before we go off, or you can come back
fantastic.
on, or you can come back on later before we close out the show and mention it if you want.
Yeah, let me go ahead because Donna been mighty quiet. My sister, wait
Yeah,
a
we
minute.
gotta
Oh,
go
I'm
over to
here.
Donna.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
and so
Hold
yeah,
on,
so
let
just
me.
yeah, Reverend Roundtree, if you come back at the 8:30 hour, that'll be helpful. If you're
Okay,
available.
I'll be
Okay.
there. I'm on my way to another meeting, but yeah, I miss you, since
All
Councilwoman
right.
Donna. You
I
had me
miss
out here by
you.
myself today.
No, we'll see. Come make yourself available at
Yeah.
8:30 and I'll update you once
Hey,
okay.
Ali, she talking that smack. She was beating up on all of us.
Yeah,
Donna.
yeah.
Don't
She
do
was
that.
beating on us.
Do not believe that, Donna.
She was,
Listen, I
wait
miss
a
my
minute.
brother.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Every Minister Abdul Haq's not here. Somebody
Yeah.
got to keep the fire burning.
Hey,
Okay.
hey,
Y'all been
Donna.
throwing
You
wood
can
on.
turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, hey Donna, you know darn well. Roundtree ain't but 4 feet tall, but she punch like she's 12 feet tall.
She got what
Listen, I'm
y'all.
on the number one. Yes,
She
I'm
talking,
on
she
here.
talking about she by herself. Don't believe that.
Listen, I'm on the number one all politics and local hip hop radio, WRNU radio station. I'm excited with the
See?
radio producer and my brothers and sisters. Go on with y'all bad self and take your hour or get me off this show. Bye.
All right,
y'all.
thank
All right.
you.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
All
Peace.
right,
Thank
Donna.
you guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Right on, y'all.
All right, D. So it's all about you.
Yeah, so we have our guests
got?
in the background. We have our co-host in the background. Assemblywoman Timberlake. Hey, Assemblywoman Knight.
Oh, you got it. Night on
Yeah.
here. All right.
Now, where's Assemblywoman
All
Timberlake?
See, this is the other hat I wear, dog.
Okay,
Get at
there
you
we
in a
go.
minute. Good.
So, hi everybody.
Hi.
You know,
Hello.
we
and,
are.
and you might not know, but when we had Assemblywoman Jackson on, she turned the whole table around, started asking questions like it was her. She took over.
That's right. So we are at the last week of Women's History Month, and we saved the best for last.
Yes.
We have saved the best for last, and I know there's a scripture, and I said the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. And when this hour of power that we have right now, we're going to bring with our state assembly women to let us know what they're doing down in Trenton. We have our co-host on, Assemblywoman Timberlake. She represents the 34th district, and we're going to let her turn it over to her. I know last I checked, she was the youngest elected official, but I don't know. These young people are out here doing the darn thing. So I don't know, Assemblywoman, if you're still the youngest elected official, but I know you're still doing tremendous work down in Trenton, and you're bringing it back here to the 34th district, which represents Orange, East Orange, Clifton, and Montclair. We're going to talk to her about the People's Bill. We want to know what's going on. Why isn't this bill law now? We're going to talk about lead paint. You just did a great bill in terms of the abatement of lead paint. Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, you was down there fighting. You were fighting yesterday. I was like, oh, if I could have came to that, yes, for an hour and a half. And then last week, Assemblywoman Knight, you were down there with the CCRB. So sisters are making it happen. Yes,
that's right.
Sisters are making it happen. So Assemblywoman Timberlake, I'm turning it over to you.
Hello, 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 everybody. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Oh, you couldn't see you. There you go. We got you now.
You can see me now?
Yes.
Well, first of all, let me say hello to my fellow queens. I'm so excited. It is Women's History Month, and I wanted to begin, first of all, my journey back, right? Because I'm so happy that I gave birth to a blessed, healthy baby boy. And I really wanted to make my first time really coming back, doing something with my fellow sisters down there, because truly, listen, it's Women's History Month, but we get everything done all year round, constantly. And I can think of so many major pieces of legislation that we have all worked on together. And I just wanted to have an opportunity for all of us to talk with the public about what it is that we're doing, and why is it important? What is an assembly person, and why is it so important? But thank you so much, Councilwoman Donna K. Williams, once a councilwoman, always a councilwoman, truly a fighter and an advocate for the people. And I'm so blessed to have you on my team. Baba, is that Baba? Hey, Baba.
Yes, it is.
How you doing, my man?
Yes, it is.
And I heard you
hanging in there, and happy for you. No, we survivors. We fight to win. We fight to live. We fight to win, baby.
That's right. That's right. And I'm so happy that you are healed from COVID. I remember when you were struggling with that, and you all are absolutely right. We cannot make any excuses. We have to, absolutely have to get the vaccination and make sure that our friends and family are too. Hey, Ed. Hey, DJ Rhino.
Hey, what's up, sis? How's everything?
Good. So it's great to be co-hosting this. I see Assemblywoman Angela McKnight is on. She's going to talk to you about, she did something called the Crown Act. I was honored to be a part of. And that is something that reigns true all the time. It's a kitchen table conversation that we as women, especially as Black women, have. Well, you have a job interview. So, I had to go to the hair salon or straighten my hair. And no. Be you, sis. Wear your hair any kind of way that you want. It is now illegal to discriminate based upon a person's hairstyle. And especially whenever you saw what happened with the young man who he was used to wrestling with some type of head covering on to keep his locks from, being pulled during a wrestling match. And the referee had that young man to cut his locks right there. The young man had so much heart and he wanted to compete that he allowed them to do it, but that should have never happened. And it's women like Angela McKnight who are at the forefront. So I'm going to let her talk about that in a second. But then there's Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, who is just kicking butt first, asking questions always, but kicking butt first, second, and third, okay? And she is on a mission talking about making sure that we have voter rights. I actually come from the school of thought that, and I was just telling this to Dimitri the other day, I said, we make it so difficult to register to vote. People should just be automatically registered at the age of 18. And if they want to vote, walk into the poll on voting day and do what they have to do and go on out. And Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson is really at the forefront of that. So with that said, I'll talk about the housing stuff a little later. I want to hear from my sisters first. Assemblywoman McKnight.
Hey, Timberlake, I miss you. I'm telling you, I can't wait to see you again. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, Verlina, let me just tell you, Verlina kicked behind last night.
I heard.
Yes, she did. She stood her ground. And I was so happy to be able to stand up and support you, Assemblywoman, because you didn't even need our support. You held your own.
Love it.
So I am here. Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay, so I am here to talk about. I'll talk about my discrimination law. So, Assemblywoman is absolutely correct. It is because of the young man who was forced to cut his dreadlocks or forfeit the wrestling match. And he decided, go ahead and cut them. And he won. And I'm so happy. And while sitting down and seeing that news, I said, you know what? I'm a legislator. This has to stop. So my team and I immediately jumped into action, and we said, you know what? No more. You can no longer discriminate against a hairstyle. And what was very disheartening was the fact that no one in that arena came
Stop.
down to stop him,
That's right.
to stop that referee from
Tell it,
cutting his dreads. He stood there and no one supported him. So I said, you know what, we have to do something. Now, not knowing that California was already working on this, not knowing this. And then I partnered with the Dove, partnered with the Crown Act Coalition, and we was a force to be reckoned with. And Governor Murphy signed it on the 1 year anniversary of Andrew Jackson losing his dreads. But let me tell you, what's also happening. Senator Cory Booker has taken that bill and he has introduced it for it to be a federal law. Now tell me, that's powerful. So
come
Senator
on, DJ
Booker,
Ron, I need to drop a bomb. You
Yes.
gotta drop a bomb. You gotta give my sisters some sirens. Something.
Yes. So Senator Booker, I appreciate you, and I look forward to it becoming a federal law because New Jersey is the third state to have passed the Crown Act, and I know there are other states and other municipalities that are working on this, but we need this to be a federal law so that no one can be discriminated against because the way how they use their hair. So, Assemblywoman, you're right. I'm a fighter, and I fought until it was done.
Yeah.
Assemblywoman McKnight, let me just pause and just as a point of information. Ed, are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So, Assemblywoman, we're working out some legalities along with music can be played. So I don't know if Rhino can drop sirens and things like that, but he'll let us know when he can and
just
cannot
do it
do
verbally. You just got to be like, sound like you in a reggae hall in Jamaica.
All right, we need Lady Ira up here doing the sirens, but okay. All right, so I just wanted to let you know we're working to the legality. I'm sorry,
No problem. Understandable. We got drum roll right here. Woo!
See?
So I'm so looking forward to talking about further more legislation that I have worked on and continuing to work on. But the Crown Act, New Jersey, again, we're number 3 in the country, right? In our country, that you can no longer discriminate on how you can wear your hair. And I go down to Trenton when pre-COVID, I go down to Trenton with my natural hair and I'm loving it. And I'm loving it. And I dare for anyone to say something to me because you can't. And I wear my hair how I want to because it's all about me. I love my hair. That's it. You don't have to like it. I love it.
That's right.
And Assemblywoman McKnight, and I actually, I don't know, Assemblywoman Timberlake, I know we were sitting where maybe I emailed it to you. I'm reading through my Essence magazine, there's a rite of passage. Yeah. You get your monthly Essence magazine and see what's going on in the world of Black women. And when I go and see Angela McKnight in the Senate about the Crown Act, I'm like, that's it.
So awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. It was so great to be inside the Essence magazine twice. So about that. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah. And hey, McKnight, why don't you tell us a little bit about the CCRB as well? Because that was big.
Well, listen, I'm still fighting on that one, but it passed out of committee.
That's the company, though.
Yes, it passed out of committee, and I'm so happy. The CCRB. So right after.
Now, wait a minute. First of all, we always speak in acronyms. So why don't you break it down for the listeners? What does CCRB stand for?
You are absolutely correct about that. So the CCRB is the Civilian Complaint Review Board. So CCRB. And that came about after the George Floyd was killed. And I did not know, and I'm going to be full transparent, I did not know that Mayor Ras Baraka was fighting this fight for several years to get a CCRB in Newark. And when I found out that he was doing it and he has been doing it, I said, okay, I have to contact the mayor so I can let him know what I want to do. So I introduced the CCRB from a state perspective because I did not want what happened to George Floyd to happen to anyone in our state. Now, there
Anymore.
has been some anymore. I was about to say that. There has been anymore. I was about to say that. There has been many instances where cops have bad apple cops. Let me just make that distinction. Bad apple cops who have done bad things to our people. And our community, we must be involved because these cops who are bad, they need to be held accountable, and they need to be like afraid to do something wrong because the community will be right after them looking at what they have done. So I work with the state PBA, I work with the state troopers, I work with ACLU, Mayor Raz Baraka and his team. I have two council people over here in Jersey City. That's Denise Ridley and James Solomon. And we have a plethora of amazing coalitions that we have been working with to get this bill. Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition, and a few others, Black Men United and more. And we came together, and last week it was on the agenda, and we had a committee meeting, and there were over 140, I believe it was over 140 people who support this bill. And we had about 60 people who testified on this bill. It took us about 4 hours, and I thank Assemblywoman Sumter because she was the chair, for having us all together. And at the end, it passed out of committee. Now that's a win. That's a win for us.
Absolutely. It's a win. So just for the listeners, I just want to break it down. What does it mean by pass out of committee? So in the assembly, this is the way in which it goes for a law to be made law. There's several steps. It's a long process, a little bit like birth, can be painful, right? And then there's an old joke that, the old school legislators like to tell. They say, you don't want to watch how sausage is made. And that's kind of the same thing about laws, right? But this is what has to happen. First, you have to write the bill. Then you have to introduce the bill. When you introduce the bill then would go to a committee, a proper committee. It gets voted out of committee. Once it's voted out of committee, in the assembly or on the Senate side, it can make it to either the assembly floor or the Senate floor, right? Then it gets voted. Let's say the assembly votes for it in favor. It has to do that all again on the Senate side. And then if it's voted yes, you need 41 votes on the assembly and 21 on the Senate side. If it votes and it passes, then it goes to the governor's desk for signature. So it's a lot of steps. And all along the way, it's kind of like that game. I don't know if y'all remember, I'm a millennial. I used to watch Gladiators when I was, younger, growing up in the 90s. But it was this game on Gladiators where they would go like this with this big giant stick, and they would try to knock you off of a balance beam that you were walking on. I feel like that is the process, because all along you have different lobbyists who don't want the bill to pass. You have some PBAs who may be coming out, police benevolent associations who may be coming out against the bill, and they're trying to knock it down so that, okay, it passed in the assembly. Now they're going to go to the Senate and lobby for the same thing. And then, and then if it goes to the governor's desk and they try to force the governor, not to sign it and to veto it. So it takes a lot of tenacity, and that's exactly what these ladies have. And I'm happy to be a part of the team for sure. So Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, tell me what happened. Tell me how it was the other day in Trenton, what it was that you were standing up for and fighting for. Let the people know.
So let me unmute myself here, my sister. So first, let me toss my locks back, because we're tossing our hair. I can come down any day and be somebody different and somebody new. This is the style for today. Tomorrow I might be Tina, I might be Jasmine by Sunday. So it is all good. But basically, the bill A 4655 was about limiting the number of police officers in voting precincts. And so I just think, if we have to draw a baseline and we talk about voter suppression and we talk about systemic racism, we really have to go back and look at how the poll tax has impacted how we vote, the literacy tax.
Talk about it.
We talk about all of these various suppression types, voting locations, voting where they're at, how they move, how you're notified. I have the privilege of talking from a space of a former county, a county committee person, county chairperson. So when you talk about where these voting locations are supposed to be, I have a wide vision of what this is and how it's operated by. And so I want to also include that this is not a anti-police or anti-law enforcement. It's actually a microscope on systemic racism. When you look at how our voting rights are impacted and where you can go vote and how you're voting throughout the state, not just in urban areas, but the impact that it has in other areas. When you look at it to say, and you hear, which I have heard over and over again, I've never had that problem before. And I had to remind folks about, the place of privilege that you speak upon.
That's right.
When you don't have to, when you walk into a place and you don't have the visualization of a police officer first at the door, second when you're in the place, and then you have to repeat the two coming back out, you live in a place of privilege. But it's a different type of a circumstance, when you think about it, the story that you want to tell or you want to have, and encouraging our young people to engage in the civic process. And I want to take you to go vote. And I think, when I think about my folks' voting experience, and I hope that you have these voting experiences in your memory, I don't envision or I don't see law enforcement. But if you fast forward 10 years or 20 years, your first vision about voting, you may have to have that conversation with your loved one about police or law enforcement in the voting precinct.
Right.
And so it's a different kind of conversation that you have to have, no matter if this is a community person, someone that is of law enforcement that and maybe you have, Boys and Girls Club and you have recreational activities with them, that's a plus. But there's a lot of communities where we don't have that civic engagement with law enforcement. And so that first encounter that you have with law enforcement is not a very good one. And so when you think about going in and you see someone in police uniform with their gun, with their badge, with their baton, with their mace. And so now you got to explain, how do I explain this to my grandson, my granddaughter, my niece, my nephew, my mentor, my mentee, niece or nephew? Why do we have law enforcement in our polling locations? This is not normal. But the unfortunate part, it has been normalized.
Yeah, it shouldn't be normal, right?
It shouldn't be normal, and it shouldn't be normalized, and it shouldn't be taken as, because we've been doing this for so long, that it's okay. It's not okay. Racism, slavery was held for 400 years, and we came to the realization that slavery was not right.
Right.
The systemic racism that has happened in voting, we have to be able to stand firm and say, it's not right. It's not okay that we have law enforcement, first of all, that's sitting in precincts for 16 hours a day.
Right.
That's not right. That's not right. That's voter suppression all day, every day.
Well, know what, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, for some people who might be going, well, what's the big deal? You have to understand the mentality and the biases that we all carry. Right? Every single one of us. And I'll share a little story. When I was working as a waitress, and primarily, it was mostly Black and brown people that were working there as waiters and waitresses. And there happened to be one Caucasian young woman.
Mm-hmm.
There was I think someone tried to pay their bill. Someone who was dining at the restaurant tried to pay their bill with counterfeit money, something like that. But the police came, and they were standing in the back kitchen area, and it was about, it had to have been about 5 or 6 officers. And as we were standing back there, I remember some of the gentlemen, the look on their face of being nervous, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they recognize, here we are, Black peoples, and there is a heavy police presence right now in the kitchen. And just as one of my friends began to verbalize what he was feeling, the young woman who happened to be Caucasian walked into the kitchen, and she said, "Oh, there's so many police here. I feel so safe." So please allow that to help you understand the different perceptions of different culture. And you know what? She wasn't wrong. She should be, what she felt is what we should all feel as Americans. When we walk in and see a heavy police presence, we should say, "Oh my goodness, I feel so safe."
Right.
But unfortunately, because there have been bad actors in law enforcement, we have to be careful about having too much law enforcement at places such as voting polls, because it could be that same young man who wasn't feeling safe at his own job, who all of a sudden goes, "I don't think I'm going to vote today because I don't want any problems."
Right.
And that's not to say anything about good officers, but godfather of some of these babies is a law enforcement official. That's not to say that there aren't good law enforcement officials, but what it is to say is that police accountability has to start with recognizing the history
absolutely
of policing in this country as it pertains to Black and brown people, and being willing to accept that. And for the first time that I have seen in history, where law enforcement have been coming out in large numbers, denouncing a racist past and looking for a non-racial future, has unfortunately been at the death of George Floyd. And God rest his soul. But I will say this, and I always say this: George Floyd, as heinous as it wasn't even the most heinous of the killings that I could tell you about right now.
Right. Oh, yes.
That Black and brown people have seen innocent, unarmed men, women, and children who have been killed. So, but I am glad and I'm grateful. God works in mysterious ways for sure. I'm grateful that the nation was quiet enough during COVID-19 to actually hear our cry.
Let me just jump in real quick. Mike, thank you, Mike, for putting that article up. What Ed and Zaid, as Black men, I wish you could have been in the chambers yesterday as Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson stood up and took on this fight. And it's funny. And I don't know
right there.
I don't know if your Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, I don't know if if your chief of staff, I'm texting him like, tell him about the talk. I'm texting him yesterday like, tell him to talk about this. Like, I'm in the office like just like screaming, having one of those moments because you were there, Zaid, yesterday?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay. So I was just, but for Black, the stark difference in the realities of what that presence means to Black people versus white. It was just amazing. The arguments were just yesterday, and I was like, and even coming off the heels of a George Floyd, how tone deaf people, legislators were still. It was just. But you held you did a good. It was nice. Your alter ego yesterday, but I was just like,
so you feel right. So Councilwoman Donna, you know, right? So you know, right? I when I left out of there, I was like, look, Lord, I done did the best I could. I ain't cuss nobody out. I tried to articulate the words the best that I can, and I felt like I honest to God, I felt like that was the best that I could do in those circumstances. But
you did great.
Woman Timberlake, you nailed it when you said there are stark realities between what Black people live, Black, Latino people live, then those of privileged spaces live. There were assembly people that spoke of, I've never heard of such a thing. I don't know why this is an issue. And I had to raise the question, well, you've never been racially profiled. But we have the data from the state police that says they were racially profiling Black people on the turnpike.
That's
we
right.
know that these things exist. We know these things exist because of systemic racism. And when you ask these marginalized questions and systemic racism questions, it really bothers me because it shows the ignorance on your part and your lack of knowledge on the oppression that we go to, not just every 6 months. It's every single day that we combat the racism that exists in New Jersey, whether it's housing, whether it's education, whether it's economics, whether we're talking about job security, whether we're talking about equal pay, it keeps going down, down. We are there. And so it was.
Let me just add this, Assemblywoman, and because you think that because all eyes are on Georgia, and people think that this is a Georgia fight in terms of, and people think Stacey Abrams is crazy, you know, that this suppression is not a real thing. But right down to 8-7 yesterday, it was very real that this is a New Jersey problem as well as a Georgia problem.
It is very much so. What we're trying to do in New Jersey is stop the voter suppression. But the bad part is there are people not just in the assembly, but also in the Senate that have stalled the process.
Well,
I just want us to be mindful and cognizant of the systemic racism where people say, oh, seniors, they like law enforcement. I don't know no senior that want a poll tax, that want a literacy tax, that want anything to do with voter suppression. They want to be able to take their grandkids in and walk in and out like everybody else with no problems. And you can't tell me that senior buildings don't already have security. They don't need somebody at the desk with a gun, a battalion, and mace to say, oh, it's safe to come up in here. I think what you have to look at is the systemic racism that exists not only in our polling locations, but wherever else there is the ability to effectuate change. And I'm talking about our city halls. I'm talking about our county buildings. I'm talking about our city. Anywhere where you have someone with law enforcement with a gun, they are suppressing people from coming in to explain or talk about the circumstances that exist in their world. These are things that say, okay, I need you to show ID. I need you to go through this metal detector. And again, 16 hours in a voting location, and you talking about a waste of overtime.
Right.
You could do that outside. And I wish I had thought about it yesterday. Assembly member, councilwoman, I wish I would have thought about it yesterday, but the distance between me and our colleagues on the other side is about 100 feet. So we in the same room. We just saying, I don't want you in this room. We just need the distance. I need you to be from me to, I think it was Assemblyman Worth. I forget the other Assembly, Damaso. We were about 100 feet apart. So we could be in the same room 100 feet apart. What is so wrong about that? We already say no to 100 feet with electioneering. I'm not asking for anything different. Neither is any other citizen. And what I don't like is that they try to make it the citizens and law enforcement on different playing fields, placing us one against another. And that's not the issue at all. What we're trying to say is that citizens should have an equal opportunity to come in and cast their ballot like anybody else. And so when you talk about, What if I live across from a ballot box? Oh, what if I live across the street and I'm a law enforcement and I have a complex? I don't know where you live at, but again, I done gave you the. I wear a size 7.5. I think 100 feet away is about 30 steps. Don't nobody live that close to a ballot box or a voting location. The parking lot will take you out of this. So all of these things I just think is more circumstantial, and again, trying to suppress and keep voter intimidation at a high when we're trying to bring it down low.
Well, you know what, Assemblywoman, you said it too. You don't know why they have to pit us against each other. It's community or it's law enforcement. Choose a side. It's Black lives or it's blue lives. Choose a side. And they do these things to try to divide us. But what about whenever you're just saying, no, I don't think all law enforcement are
It is
bad.
not.
Yes, we do need the police. Yes, if something does happen, or God forbid, someone runs up in any one of our offices right now, yes, we're going to dial 911. We're not going to call the Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, no, we don't believe that people should be armed with badges and biases and itchy trigger fingers. No, there shouldn't be racist law enforcement who are targeting. No, there should not be intimidation at the polls because of the history. And people have, it's like post-traumatic stress disorder. When you see things like that. Yeah. So, that's something that is very interesting. And as I gave the gladiator analogy, that as bills are moving along the process, there's always organizations that are trying to knock that stuff, knock it off. And as you stated, it got stalled in the Senate. And I want you to tell the listeners how they can help you to get that bill moved and unstalled in the Senate. Because if it gets unstalled in the Senate and voted yes, then it will then go to the governor's desk for him to sign and become law.
Absolutely. So you said it earlier today. We passed it out of the assembly with 45 votes. We need the Senate to pass it out with 41 votes. So that means I need you to contact all senators in the state of New Jersey. We need to make sure that we don't leave anybody out. We need everybody on board, because this is equal rights. This is equal pay. This is women's rights. We're talking about making sure everybody has the ability to come in and have access to the ballot box.
So
this isn't about voter suppression.
So what I hear you saying is you want people to look up your state senator.
Absolutely.
Call your senator and be respectful, y'all, because we get calls for office all the time. I always say be respectful, but what should the advocate say on the phone to the state senator or to their staff member?
They should say, I want you to vote yes for 4655. I gotta look up
the Senate version.
The Senate version of the bill. I need that number. The Assembly version is A4655, but we need the Senate version, and we need you to vote yes for limiting the number of law enforcement and polling precincts.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yes.
Period.
And that's incredibly important to do. And I'll transition also because there's several things that I've worked on as a legislator myself alongside these amazing ladies. Something I'm extremely proud of has been the $15 an hour minimum wage.
Yes.
I played a major role in making sure that was something that got the attention it needed to move as quickly as it did. Also, the independent investigation in the event someone loses their life during interaction with law enforcement. That was major, and that was extremely controversial. That was only 2 years ago, and it only passed the Assembly. Reynolds Jackson, you said yours passed with 45 votes. That bill had passed with 41 votes, and we were holding our breath on the floor that day. I know you ladies remember. And you know what? It's so interesting because now with the death of George Floyd, the amount of calls we've received from legislators saying, I'm so glad you asked me to vote yes for that bill. And then it's also interesting to see those who were so adamant about not voting yes march with the Black Lives Matter movement, but I'll move on. So there is also a bill that's being held up in the Senate, and that is the People's Bill. It's a housing bill. Now, if you all know anything about me, you know that I'm a housing advocate. Why? Because housing is the first stop for everything else that we're talking about. Okay. So if you want to talk about education, how can we talk about education? You want to talk about, good health as far as, what the children are eating. How can you talk about a child's education if they're homeless? How could you talk about what it is that if they've had a meal to nourish their body if they're homeless, right? To me, it is the center of the wheel where all spokes come out of, okay? Because of redlining that occurred, all right, which kept many Black and brown people out of homeownership opportunities because of housing discrimination when you're looking for rental opportunities. Okay, it's a long list of things. You go back to the history of Levitt towns, okay? It's a history that I know very well. When the soldiers were coming home from war, there was a developer that built 2 Levitt towns, okay? 2 of them now. And what they were was basically subsidized homeownership opportunity. And in the deed, it said that it was only there for white folk, and it was against the law to sell the house to a Black person. Now, here we have an opportunity to build wealth. An opportunity to build wealth is home ownership. And then you have whole communities such as Levitt towns that were actually created to only give that opportunity to our Caucasian brothers and sisters while openly discriminating against our Black and brown brothers and sisters. Okay, so housing is a thing. You want to talk about economics, you want to talk about criminal justice. I'm telling you now, it all points back to housing. So what is my point? The People's Bill. During COVID-19, we saw a lot of hardship. There are people that are still struggling. They've been told their jobs were unessential, which, we have to do to flatten the curve, because your job's really unessential if you're in the grave. And God bless those who we lost. Hundreds of thousands of people who we lost to this terrible virus. But you're told your job is non-essential. And then the unemployment is taking a long time to kick in. Okay? Now you're falling behind. Your children are learning out of their living room, so their homes are now their classrooms. You are now, trying to look for a job or be sustained at home. Okay? All of these things are happening at home. What the People's Bill simply says is that if you're a homeowner or a landlord with the mortgage, that you can apply for a fair mortgage forbearance. New Jersey leads the country in foreclosures. We are number 1. And you know who's number 1 in New Jersey? Our urban areas. Our East Orange, our Irvingtons, our Newarks, our Camdens, our Trentons, our Jersey cities, the communities in Jersey City, number 1 in the country. That is a lot of Black and brown wealth that is being lost in our communities every single time there is a foreclosure. So the bill speaks to there being fair mortgage forbearance to prevent foreclosures and that no one's credit can be negatively impacted. The second thing is the bill speaks to there being a repayment plan that you could work out with your landlord to make sure that your landlord is made whole, but over time. So after all the moratoriums lift, and it's time to start, and you should be trying to pay as much as you can now. Okay? This is not anything to encourage you not to pay rent if you have it. You need to pay your rent if you got it, okay? But once the moratoriums lift, what you're going to see is a mass eviction unless the People's Bill is put into place. And unless people can not only resume making their monthly payments, but pay a little extra on top of that until the landlord is made whole. It's giving people a fighting chance to keep a roof over their heads. Who would be against that? Well, major corporate landlords is who, because if they are able to mass evict, they're going to be able to capitalize off of COVID-19 like no tomorrow. If you are a renter, you live in a rent-controlled unit. I promise you, every municipality has their own version of rent control. What am I talking about? Well, your landlord can't raise the rent up, but a certain amount of percentage each year. Your landlord can't just jump your rent 50%. No, it could be maybe 4%, 7%. Each municipality does it different. Well, if you can mass evict, then all of those rent controls go away. And now you can raise that rent for that unit up 50, 100, 120, 150%. You're going to see units that were being rented for $1,500 now all of a sudden going on the market for $4,000. You have an election right now happening for mayor of New York City. And one of the main topics of discussion of the mayors have to address is how to prevent the exodus. They're calling it the exodus from New York City. Where do you think, and listen, we don't mind people from all over coming. That's a beautiful thing. That's diversity. But where do you think someone who's used to paying, let's say, $4,000 for a studio apartment, they're going to come over here and think, hey, $6,000 for a 2-bedroom is a steal. Okay? So I just want you to keep that in mind. We are going to outprice our community and push New Jerseyans into other states at an aggressive rate. And it's going to be the #1 topic then whenever everyone else is running for election in New Jersey. How are we going to prevent the mass exodus from New Jersey? So the bill is being stalled by the Senate. It's been so many politics, so much up and downs. We have support of 150 organizations. Now, each of these organizations represent hundreds, thousands of people. We have that support, and it's still being stalled on the Senate side. And so you could always pick up the phone, look up your senator, and ask them to please ask for the listing and the passing of the People's Bill. The governor is ready to sign it. The speaker listed it. Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, I know how you felt the other day in Trenton, because I remember being down there scrapping for the People's Bill. And I have a saying, leave it all on the court. That's what my sports enthusiasts know exactly what it is I mean. You don't want to finish playing the Super Bowl and regret, I should have ran to the left, but I went to the right. Nope. Leave it all on the court. Do your best. And that's what we're doing, fighting hard for people.
I'm going to jump in right now. I want to go over to Assemblywoman McKnight. Principal Cafele wanted Assemblywoman McKnight to talk a little bit about reparations. And Mike, while she answers this question, if you could put up that the article I put up as well, because you're over here in the Assembly doing all this work, and then it gets to the Senate, because the Assemblywoman Timberlake, what you did not say, if your bill, the People's Bill, would have passed, this legislation would have been the first in the United States to pass in terms of a plan coming out of these moratoriums under the governor's protection. So, and that's a big thing. Right. People could have looked to New Jersey as the model to say, this assembly put forth this legislation. Let's see what they're doing and let's follow same. But I know you had you wanted to say something similar tonight, but at the same time, can you answer Principal Cafele's question?
Yes. So I am a sponsor of the Reparations Task Force bill, and we are trying to get it on the agenda. This reparation bill will have 11 members appointed so that they can review, they can look at everything that has happened to our ancestors, as well as what's happening right now. So they will research, they will write, they will come up with what's been happening, and then it will allow us to look holistic to find out if the state can give us reparations, can give our people reparations. There is systemic racism that's happening right now. As Assemblywoman Timberlake speaks about her bill, the People's Bill, right now you really can't even find housing because housing is slacking. Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson talked about voter suppression. You think of all the people who are in jail. There's modern day slavery that's happening. I have a bill that will help with there's discrimination with appraisals, with homeowner
that's
appraisals.
Right.
So this reparation task force, mind you, I'm sorry, my grandson is crying. Mind you,
okay.
A task force will put together to figure out what we can do as a state. So it hasn't even been on the agenda yet. So what we need for you to do is, the number is A711 and S322. We need everyone to call their legislator, their assembly person as well as their senator and let them know that we want S322 and A711 put up on the agenda so that we can move this forward. It's only a task force. Force. And the task force will take a couple of years, but we need to start now versus later. There's systemic racism that's happening, and this task force will begin to examine what our ancestors have gone through as well as what we are going through at this moment.
Currently,
at this moment.
That's correct.
And I
that's
wanted,
correct.
when Reynolds Jackson was speaking yesterday, one of the comments that I wanted to say was, it's 2021 and we're still defending ourselves. We're still fighting for what's right. This country was built on our ancestors' back, and we can't get a good mortgage. We can't get nothing. We can't get a good mortgage. We can't get good education. You wonder why there's lack of blacks and browns being teachers. Because, you know why? Because they weren't given the shot to get an education. So reparations, they are owed to us. And this task force is just the beginning stage. So principal, I just need for you and your team, your supporters, to send a message to all the state assembly women, people, as well as the senators, to say, put this task force legislation on the agenda so that we can start.
Yes,
and it's just a start,
right? McKnight, you are so right. You are so on point. I am so happy to have been a prime sponsor of this bill and a major contributor as an author, because, you know, we're not asking for much. We're literally asking for a task force who can come and analyze what reparations would look like. It may not be a check, right? We know 40 acres and a mule. If you could find 40 acres and a mule in this most dense state that we live in, that would be an anomaly right there. So we're not looking for 40 acres and a mule. But what about if it looks like in the form of college scholarship?
Right.
What about if it looks in the form of down payment assistance?
Exactly.
Or to buy a home? What about if it looks like in the form of other reparations that have been given to other cultures? I told you about Levittown. You don't think that was a form of reparations for Caucasian soldiers coming home from war? You don't think that was a form of reparations that Black and brown people were excluded from actually being a part of? There was land grants given to farmers out in the Midwest. We've given reparations to people of the Jewish community for their history of atrocity as well. We have, as the United States, given reparations to so many other cultures and people, and rightfully so in many instances. But what about the Black American? What about the Black American slave who had built this country, as Assemblywoman McKnight said, on their back? What about it? And that's what this is. It's a task force. We can be creative about what reparations looks like, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And it's something that I also would love to see occur on the federal level. I do want to make a point to say that I stress the point of the reparations task force being a paid task force, because we're looking for experts, Black and brown people who are willing to who are experts in the field and can take their time to assess the situation. I thought it would be too ironic to ask Black and brown people to use their degrees and their specialties to assess the situation of wrongdoing for free labor for free. So it ought to be a paid task force as well.
One of the things also, as we sit here, I also want one of you, the Assemblywoman, to talk about history being made with the Legislative Black Caucus. You guys just recently had a vote, and you have new leadership. And here, and we're in 2021. The change in leadership at the Legislative Black Caucus.
Yes. So we just had a wonderful election, and for the first time, we have elected Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter as our president, our chair of the New Jersey Black Legislative Caucus. So I am so thrilled to have her. It's Women's Month, and I just want to give kudos to Senator Ron Rice. He has passed the baton, and he is still there. He is our mentor. We are his Nubian queens, right, ladies?
Nubian queens all day.
Yes. So first vice chair is Senator Troy Singleton, and our second vice chair, drum roll, is Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson.
Yes. Congratulations, ladies. This truly is history, and it's so important. And that's our Legislative Black Caucus that kind of puts the meat in all of what we do. And it's so important, you know. So I know that we're winding up. My 3-year-old just came in to let me know it's time to go. We're already 5 minutes into the 8 o'clock hour. So before we go, I have to ask you all the question. What is your favorite rapper? This is the #1 hip hop political radio show in all the land. So who is your favorite rapper? Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson?
So right now, on the top of my playlist is Lizzo. Toss your hair. You know, you feel good. Get your nails done. She at the top of my playlist right now. It's just me and Lizzo. Me and Lizzo right now. We just feeling good. Feeling good as hell.
All right now. Okay. Shout out to Lizzo. All right, Assemblywoman McKnight.
Let me tell you, I am a die-hard fan of DMX. I love me some yes.
Oh my God.
I love me some DMX. I'm telling you, I can rock the DMX all day, all night. He is my all-time DMX.
DMX. All right now. So
what is yours? What is yours, Timberlake?
Okay, mommy will hold you still.
They're giving it back to you. Assemblywoman Timberlake, who are you listening
Who's
to?
mine? I love Nas. I love Nas and I love Pac. I love conscious rappers. So that's what it's about for me. And then, you know what, though? But because it's Women's History Month, I told you I love conscious rappers. Lauryn Hill all day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hands down. Hands down. Yes.
Hands down.
Yes.
Donna, how about you?
Oh, mine's what I love Jay-Z, but for women, you know, who am I listening to? I'm really just listening to a lot of music right now. And Beyonce, like her Kendrick Lamar, and they be like, "No, you can't do Beyonce." But I'm a part of the.
I'm a Bey fan too. I'm a Bey fan too. I can't help it.
Exactly.
That brown girl. Listen, all day.
Rhino won't come back and get me, but Zaid, I want you to bring us home because you've been quiet the whole thing, the whole show.
Zaid, you said it's Women's History Month. I don't know.
I'm one that don't know when to shut up, so I just let y'all ride, right? But listen, Assemblywoman Jackson, I want to know who those folks are that don't know about no police not knowing how to behave and why folks are feeling different, so we can help you go after them and straighten their behinds out, right? I'm saying that on the strength of what we just did with Assemblywoman McKnight. All 100 people, at least 75% of them are who we organized.
Right.
We're not playing.
Right.
We're not playing. It's a new day. We fighting to win.
There you go. Well, we can have an offline conversation about that.
Right on, baby. Right on.
Yes, and I want to say to Brother Muhammad, thank you. You've been there. I've seen you.
Yes.
We spoke, and we're still working. So thank you.
It's a long fight. This fight is almost as old as I am, and I'm 60 this year.
Well, I'm here with you, okay? And I just want to say thank you.
All right. We love you all. We got you back. All right.
So for the listeners, we have our marching orders. Please, anytime that you need to come back and you need us to help organize and get the grassroots movement, whether it's the CCRP.
I have been fussing at Donna for months to get you on Assembly. I want you to know that.
But
we're here now, right? I'm here now, and I can come back. I can
get on
come
the
back.
nerve. That's right.
But
Brittany sounded like a veteran on All Politics and Local, sounded like a host. Love that.
she is the co-host, but I do want you, some of you women know that when it's time for you to get these bills moving, whether it's to call to action, to have people call the Senate,
This is our
please
drum.
use this as your platform, please.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Assemblywoman, host, do you want to close it
Thank
out?
you, ladies, so much
You're
for being on.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Great
We
job,
miss you.
Britt. Yeah, we
Miss
miss
the
you.
babies for us. Mwah.
I miss you too, and I'm
Congratulations on the new
officially
baby.
back.
That's
All
right.
right. Yay.
Bye now. God bless.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Take care.
Ladies,
Happy
I just-
Easter. Happy Resurrection season, everybody.
Ladies, let me leave y'all
Easter.
with one thought, and y'all can put it on your own pages. One of the listeners just want to know, why is crime and unemployment in legislative 28 a challenge? So just think about that and write as we go over, okay? As you write over the weekend, okay? All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Bye now.
Good segment. Good segment. Good segment.
Great segment. All right. So where we at now?
Where's my little sister at?
Yeah, there she goes. Hey, you was in the background, sis.
That's right. Dulce, my sweet cookie. That's right.
What's going on?
Power.
Oh yeah. And you know them all, and you know how to get down. You know.
And Rhino, you're gonna have to get a remix. It's gonna be Sisters gonna work it out. Sisters gonna work it out.
Donna K, I want to celebrate you.
Thank you.
I want to applaud you. I want to say I'm coming from a very different energy. We're going to talk about in a minute, but to leave there, which got me kind of emotional,
Right.
and to come here and see Verlena Reynolds Jackson and Angela McKnight and Assemblywoman Timberlake, and just see the power and the class and the leadership and the presence and just the whole posture of these women now, of these women who represent us in the legislature. What an honor. And I think me and at least Zaid, I don't know about you, Donna, but we go back a ways a little bit, and the legislature did not look like that. They make me feel so much better to see us there, and just to see how genuine and sincere they are. I take my hat off to every one of those beautiful women. And what a tribute to Women's Month right now. Jesus. Donna, thank you.
Right on. And then Cookie, glad to have you. Right? One of the things that I have been saying for the last, or really since this recent storm around police brutality, is that I'm so grateful and proud to see the leadership coming on the ground. I'm talking about from the streets first, right?
Yes, sir.
From London to Los Angeles, from Boston to Buenos Aires. You know, it's all this protest activity. So much of it led by young Black and brown women. So proud of that, and to have a complimentary expression of that in amongst our own local officials, which doesn't exist in too many places, right? Is indeed refreshing. You know, y'all are the ones that we have been waiting for, right? So we need you to turn it up and to keep turning it up. And that's really wish we had a little more time of what I wanted to say to those young sisters. I'm very proud of all of them, yes. Right? And we also know how difficult it is, right? And so I identified my place in this in terms of how through community or our community organizing, we do have their backs when they're supposed to, when they stand up and dare to stand up to the more crotchety white men blocking this stuff, right? And that's what they are, right? I mean, Brittany was being polite, but she wasn't talking about Christie blocking the People's Act. These are some crackety old Democrats being punky to the real estate industry. You know, let's make it plain. You know, that's what's holding that up, right? Them playing games and trying to string this out. People's lives are on the line, right? I mean, I was raised by Depression era parents. You understand? Right? The generation that raised me came out of how ugly a real depression can get when people are on the street en masse with nothing.
Yes, sir.
Right? And there was a Black labor leader by the name of A. Philip Randolph said, Mr. Roosevelt, if you don't address this, we'll all come to Washington en masse and make you look real bad. I don't care how liberal you are or how much how busy you are with your war. You're going to fix this. You're going to fix some of this, right? And you know, we haven't gotten that far yet. So the need for whatever safety nets or vehicles that we need to keep it from getting like that is absolutely important. It should not be a matter of politics. Should be a matter of principle. It's a matter of our very survival. 500,000 of our people already dead from COVID.
Yes,
that's Newark twice.
Yes, sir.
Imagine that. That's Newark twice. There are times when you got to put politics aside. And I would dare say we are in those times. So for those among us who dare to assert themselves in that way, it is imperative of us to have their backs. For our own survival and the own survival of our communities and our families, it is imperative that we step up in this moment, no matter how waylaid we are, and be organized. You know, be organized. And I'm so glad that we have folks like the great Cookie Rivera here, who's a wonderful army, one of this, what that really looks like, right? So with that, let's get into why I have her here, right? When I was coming on the air tonight, I only got a chance to listen for about a half hour. She was co-hosting a listening session of women who have come home from Edna Mahan Correctional Facility, the only female correctional facility in the state of New Jersey, giving testimony on how they had been mistreated and abused, beaten, sexually mistreated, the whole thing, by prison guards with no space for redress whatsoever, and how that is just coming to a head as it's recently crept into the news, right? And the question of how that kind of mess is going to be cleaned up, and how those kind of perpetrators are going to be held accountable is what we're trying to figure out now, and it's the time has come for us to raise our voices. So I want her to talk about that, and to talk about tomorrow, what we're going to do tomorrow when we're going down to Clinton, New Jersey.
Yes,
and
we
are paying them a visit at Edna Mahan Correctional Facility. Cookie, you got the mic, baby.
You missed one word, Baba. You missed the word killed. Women are being killed.
Yes.
Men are being killed. This session that we held kind of ran in part of your show as well, so I couldn't get here earlier. There's 4 or 5 women in that session, and I believe it was recorded, so you'll be able to see it later.
Good.
What I would like to do is talk at the top of my words and at the bottom to just announce the details of tomorrow, because it is tomorrow from 12 to 3 we are going, and the flyers are on the Integrated Justice Alliance and in most of my media listservs, Latino Action Network and others. We're going to be meeting at Clinton State Prison, Edna Mahan Correctional Prison for Women. And the program will run from 12 to 3. And logistically, we want us folk, because you know how we show up when we show up. No, we got to be there around 12 because we have to, figure out the parking and stuff like that and get down to the entrance of the prison. The program is going to run from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., if you will. The idea of being there from 1 to 3 p.m., it was intentional. And we have every intention of, it's a shift change. So we have every intention of blocking the shift, the guys coming in and out of the prison with our bodies. We are asking everyone to wear red. We're going to ask you if you have a red glove, wear a red glove. We're going to try to get some washable paint to put our hands in red paint that could be washed off for the blood that is spilled in those walls. And Reverend Boyer will speak. Some of the women that spoke in this program last night will speak. We do want to do this very quickly and very respectfully. The state police are supporting us and there for us to make sure that everything goes well. Some of you know that I'm also a DJ, and I'm just bringing a small kind of little system so that we can have microphones over there. We don't want to spend too much time over there. We really just want to make a statement. I'm involved with the Prison Justice Watch as well. And we know that the Attorney General of New Jersey has criminally indicted 8 of about 20 or 30 of the guards that were involved with these attacks. We know that the attacks happened in the late morning and midnight of 4 women. It included guards, it included sergeants, it included majors, it included an assistant administrator out of Northern who came in and participated in the attack and said, "This is how we do stuff in Northern, and I'm here now." A woman had her cheek crushed, had her eye socket crushed. I believe she had a broken arm. She wasn't taken to an outside medical facility for some time. 4 of them were suspended officially and somehow returned to work. Not only did they somehow return to work, but one of the guards who was involved in the first attack, who found the woman who was still recovering from her eye socket being crushed and her face being crushed,
salted all
in
over
a wheelchair. And he went back in her cell and said, "Hi, I'm back," and picked her up out of her wheelchair and threw her against the wall again. And this is just one incident. These women poured their hearts out to us on this listening session just now. And these are women who literally just came out recently, were witness to some of these attacks, were describing their own attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just heart-wrenching to see. And the way they say it, you let this happen. We let this happen. We let this abuse just continue. We didn't do nothing about it. This is how they see it, because they were locked in this 8x10 cell and had no idea how many people fight for them and what it takes to actually achieve these victories. So it's very hard to not only hear, but to also know and be part of the abuses and the stories of the men coming home as well. Funeral processions where we sign up 200 people to protest the COVID death inside the prison system, and 450 people show up. One of those men was someone I worked with inside Trenton State Prison, and when I used to go in there and work with the inmates. And then to see, things going on business as usual. It's mind-blowing to me that we as a humanity treat each other this way. It's mind-blowing to me for Democrats and Republicans, and how do you just, it's hard for me to understand how this happens. At the same time, I feel lifted by the women that you just had on this show, and others like Bonnie Watson Coleman and others that stand up and fight. And I'm sorry.
Don't apologize for that. Don't apologize for that. You fight, we're fighting through that. We're fighting through that. We're turning that pain into power, baby. You one of our best examples of that. Don't fight. That's right. We got you. I got your back.
I know. It's hard. I actually draw strength from these women. I draw strength from the women who are still standing. I draw strength from the spirit of those we lost. And I keep it moving, I just keep doing what we do, because I need to show my children and yours what it requires. And I need to show them how they look in the mirror, because where do you sit and stand in this situation? You just watching TV, or are you realizing that you play a part in this, whether it be standing next to us, or are you watching, or are you just silent, or what are you, and who are you, and how much are you teaching your children?
This historical moment requires us to no longer be bystanders, and we will certainly go down among those who did what it is that we were supposed to do. Let me bring let me bring your comrade into this, right? Because we actually wanted to do a much larger segment, but we already had a segment blocked out, and that's the segment we did that Adema, you just missed, right? Lawrence Ham just joined us also, right? We're gonna have you back, Adema, to deal with your 50, right? We're gonna have you back for that, right? But we want to do with the limited time that we have tonight. We want to talk about April 2nd. We want to talk about solidarity with our Amazon folks fighting for a union down in Bessemer, Alabama. We want to talk about solidarity with Mumia Abu-Jamal. We want to talk about the fight for a living wage, the kind of stuff that we need to be raising hell in the usual way that we do when it comes time to honor and observe the anniversary of the assassination of one Dr. Martin Luther King. So take a minute, beloved, and unpack that for us. You're muted. We can't hear you, Demo.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. There you
go. All right. I muted myself so I wouldn't interrupt my sister Rivera, who was putting down some profound information. And believe me, the time that you may have had blocked out for me was better spent discussing the action that Sister Rivera will be a part of tomorrow. And it's a much needed action because so much injustice is going on in the prisons. I mean, POP, we're just a grassroots volunteer organization, but we always get letters from the prisons, from brothers and mainly brothers, and every now and then a sister in the prisons about the unjust conditions in there. And this most recent episode where they were beating these sisters like this is just an abomination. Abomination is too mild a term, but I think that this action tomorrow is much needed, and we need more actions after that. And we have a prisoners committee in the People's Organization for Progress, and they are meeting. And we're going to try and step up.
Donna's right there. She's sitting there being quiet and cute, but she's on that.
That's right. That's right. So I don't want people to think that we're not giving attention to this issue. In fact, just today, we were part of an action for one of the world's probably best known imprisoned people, Mumia Abu-Jamal.
That's right.
And the students from various organizations, Seton Hall, students from the law school and the undergraduate school, and the Black Men's Organization, and many others. I don't know all the groups that were involved, but this thing was organized and put in motion by young people, and we were proud to be a part of that. And we joined with them in demanding freedom for Mumia Abu-Jamal, for Sundiata Acoli, for all of our political prisoners. They are trying to turn Mumia's life sentence into a death sentence. And I'm so glad that people all over the world are standing up and demanding that Mumia, who now has COVID, he's one of the 30 million people in America with COVID, but Mumia had pre-existing conditions, and when you have these pre-existing conditions and you get COVID, your life is in danger. Our vice chairman of the People's Organization for Progress, he didn't give me permission to use his name, so I won't give it, but just to let the folks know, our vice chairman is in the hospital.
He's battling that right now.
He's there right now, and he has a very serious pre-existing condition. And we have him and Mumia and Sundiata, all those aging political prisoners and aging prisoners in general. None of them should be in these prisons. But suffice it to say, now, Brother Zahid, you gave a whole laundry list of things, and I done forgot the list already. So let's go through them one by one. I promise I'll give quick answers.
You were talking about the hell we gonna raise on April 2nd to mark the anniversary of Dr.
That's right. That's right. April 4th is the anniversary. I believe it will be the 53rd anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. And historically, the People's Organization for Progress has had mobilizations on around the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King and also around his assassination, which we still consider to be an open case. All of those who were involved have not been brought to justice. In fact, some people would say none of those involved have been brought to justice.
Serious question. That's right.
For the assassination of Martin Luther King. You know, Coretta Scott King, you know, his wife went into federal court in 1999 and sued only for $1 because she wanted people to know she wasn't doing it for the money. She was doing it for the truth. And the judge in that case ruled that Dr. King, this is the Federal District Court of Atlanta, ruled that Martin Luther King was the victim of an assassination in which at least 11 U.S. intelligence agencies and the Memphis Police Department participated in. You can go online. You don't have to take my word for it. Go online, Google Coretta Scott King 1999 federal court case on the assassination of Martin Luther King. All the documents are right there. You know, so we have an annual mobilization, and this year we are mobilizing. Of course, we're still demanding. You know, the trial started for George Floyd this week. It took a whole damn year for them to bring him to trial. If Zaid Muhammad had gone out here and suffocated somebody to death, Zaid would have been tried and convicted and in prison right now. But you know, these police,
they be bringing back the death penalty for my behind.
That's right. And these police, they have all kinds of qualified immunity and immunities that put them beyond the same kind of treatment that you and I would receive. So even though Floyd's trial is beginning, that's no guarantee. There's nothing to celebrate. Oh, he's on trial. What is there to celebrate? Do you know how many times officers have gone to trial for killing people and not been convicted? In fact, they just put this third degree piece on him. In addition, he already had second degree murder charge and manslaughter. They put the third degree on there last week because they're scared they might not get a conviction on the second degree murder charge and on the manslaughter charge. So it's a coin toss as to how this thing is going to turn out.
Even though it was on videotape and the whole damn world saw it.
Video don't mean a damn thing.
Damn.
What do video mean? You know, they beat Rodney King almost to death on video.
That's right.
You know, video, it helps. It helps in the struggle for justice. It helps in the struggle for justice, but there's no guarantee just because there's a videotape that there's going to be a conviction, because this whole system is geared to protect the police. You know, it's not geared to protect you and I, but it's geared to protect them. So 20 million people mobilized across the country last summer to demand justice for George Floyd. So I'm asking all the people in New Jersey that marched in those Black Lives Matter marches and in 200 cities and towns across New Jersey last summer, I'm asking you to come out and join us on Friday, April 2nd. Because April the 4th is Easter, we are not going to do it on Easter Sunday. We decided to do it on Friday, April the 2nd. So want everybody to come out and join us 12 o'clock noon at the Lincoln, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock p.m. 4 o'clock p.m. at the Lincoln statue, 12 Springfield Avenue, at the intersection of Springfield Avenue and West Market Street in downtown Newark, Friday, April 2nd. Please join us. We need everybody to come out. We're marching for justice for George Floyd. We're marching against police brutality. We're marching against the return of Jim Crow, live and in living color. For all the people out there who somehow thought that we had reached some non-racial nirvana with the election of Barack Obama, they bring Jim Crow back live and in living color. 253 voter suppression bills passed in 43 states because Black people came out, Black people, Latinos, the masses of people came out and voted in record numbers. The biggest vote in the history of the United States happened last November 3rd. And, you know, every time we get a little bit of power, they react. So now they in Georgia, they just signed a bill into law to suppress, make it against the law for people to even give. They make black people stand in line for 4 and 5 hours, 8 hours just to vote. And now they make it against the law to bring people a bottle of water while they're in line. These people have lost their minds. Fascism is on the march in America. You know, I can remember when we used to say that, and people say, oh, y'all are exaggerating, y'all are hyperbolic. You know, this is fascism. Fascism is on the move in America. And just because Trump is out of office doesn't mean that the fascist movement went away. Trump was defeated, and what happened? These people tried to violently,
of that movement. That's right.
They tried to violently take over the Capitol building to overturn the popular election of Biden for president of the United States. This thing did not go away simply because Trump was defeated. And look what it took to defeat Trump. It took the largest turnout in voter history. And I dare say, had we not had this COVID-19 pandemic with 30 million, at that point, 20 million people infected, 400,000 people killed, Trump might have been reelected.
That's right.
He might have been reelected.
Yes.
So we're in a very dangerous position now in America. And we got to fight. This is not the time to relax. So we're going to march for George Floyd. We're going to march for voting rights. We're going to march for economic justice. The United States, of the 32, what they call the OECD countries, the industrialized, advanced industrialist capitalist countries in the world, the developed world, the wealthiest part of the world. Of the 32 countries, the United States has the lowest minimum wage, $7.25. What can you do with there's nowhere in the United States that you can pay a 1-bedroom apartment with a wage of $7.25 an hour.
Yes.
The minimum wage should be $15 an hour. And even that ain't enough. If we factored in inflation from the last time the minimum wage was raised in this country,
and that's been a long time.
That's right. If we factored in in inflation, the minimum wage today would be $23 an hour, not $15. $15 ain't enough. But right now, there is popular support, political support for $15 minimum wage. So we're marching against police brutality, justice for George Floyd. We're marching against voter suppression and fascism. And we're marching for economic justice and the $15 minimum wage on April the 2nd. And we want everybody to come out and join us.
We got some company coming too from the Retail Workers Union also too, in the solidarity with what's happening with our folks down in Bessemer, rallying for a union against Amazon, right?
That's right. Brother Charles Hall, who is the president of the Retail Workers Local Union in this area, longtime labor leader and labor activist, he will be speaking on that day. And by the way, the Retail Workers Union, that's the union that's trying to organize the folks down there in Bessemer, Alabama. I mean, imagine this, right? Just think about this. The owner of Amazon right now is the richest man in the world. He could give each one of his workers a bonus of $100,000 and he wouldn't even feel it.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. I got friends.
Made $6 billion since the COVID pandemic.
That's right. He's made a fortune since the COVID pandemic. I can't jog through my neighborhood without running across an Amazon truck. They're everywhere. But I got friends that work at Amazon, what they call it, the wish fulfillment center, the warehouses,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Imagine that. Imagine if we called the plantation the wish fulfillment center. Imagine if we call the slave valley the wish fulfillment centers. The wish fulfillment centers. Let me tell you, we got members of POP. I got friends that have worked in there, and they work them people like slaves in there. They can't lose a minute. It's like the Taylorism of the 21st century. For the people that don't know what Taylorism is the process of production that was implemented around the beginning of the 20th century. It's the assembly line style process of production. That's Ford Motor Company became noted because it put the Taylorism process of production, the assembly line, in effect in the Ford plants at the beginning of the 20th century. So now in these wish fulfillment centers, they got the people on the assembly line, but they're not assembly lines like for cars. They're these grids that you work on, and they're computerized, and they got robots, and you got to race the robot. And if you don't keep up with the robot, you get what they call them, demerits. You get demerits and cuts in pay. It's crazy.
And you know what? And you know what, Chairman? Let me just give you an example. I know, Zaid. Let me give you an example. I was in line at Checkers the other day, and I ordered some wings. And the young lady, as I ordered the wings, she stopped me. Don't come to the window. And I forgot, there's such a break between people that are represented by unions now because so less people are represented. And when I got to the window, I said to the woman, why'd you stop me, since I was the next to come up and get my order? She said, because I'm on a timer. And if you would have sat here while you waited for your thing, I would have got big. And this is Checkers in East Orange on Central Avenue.
Yep. And it's Checkers, it's McDonald's, it's all them. Burger King. Yeah, you go to the Burger King up there on Central Avenue. They throw this metal pan out the window, to cut the timer off. It's crazy. Believe it or not, American workers, believe it or not, American workers put in more hours than any other workers in the industrialized world, but we have fewer benefits,
less healthcare, less benefits
than any other workers in the industrial world, right?
Less base pay. That's right.
We're the only. Go ahead.
No, I was going to just say, as Rhino comes on, because we get ready to transition, and I remember when I was still working in the city, and they were doing the big $15 hour campaign wage with the labor unions then, and there was a student that was here studying abroad, maybe from Norway or something, and he said, and maybe he was being interviewed out on Broadway. And he said $15 an hour. In my country, we fight for living wages, not minimum wages. We really have to think. And I think about Professor Linda Carter over Essex County College, who's over the paralegal program. And she said as soon as they gave us labor rights and allowed us to participate in unions, they've been working the day after to remove us from them.
That's right. I mean, think about this. At the end of World War II, 49% of labor in America was unionized. Today, 11% of labor is unionized, and the majority of unionization is now, for the first time, in the public sector, not in the private sector. And that's one of the reasons why the working class in this country is increasingly impoverished, because we don't have a strong union. You look at all other countries, 95% unionization in those countries. And it's not an accident, and it's not because American workers are lazy or apathetic. It's because the bosses in this country have waged an unrelenting war against unionization and have gotten all kind of laws passed that have impeded the unionization of workers. All these right to work laws. Imagine that. You get you get a law passed that stops union and you call it right to work. It's right to starve. That's what it is. Because do you know some of the southern states, the former Confederate states, they don't even have a minimum wage.
That's right.
It's crazy when you begin to research this stuff. They don't even have and waiters and waitresses, what they call tip workers. You know what their minimum wage is? $2.35 an hour.
That used to be mine.
This is crazy. And if Dr. King was alive today, he would be waging a war for economic justice. All
And
these
that is how we lost him. We must never forget that as we wind up, because we really got to jump to our next segment. We into one of our comrades' time. I want to apologize to Rhino for doing that, but I want to thank you both. Cookie, Adema, we're going to be in the streets tomorrow. We're going to be in the streets April 12th. We want everybody to sound the drum. All of the information will be on our Facebook page tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Come on down, take the ride with us. We're going to be on time. We're going to be striking fade, and we're going to turn it up for our sisters at Edna Mahan. All right? Right on. This is
right on.
Politics of Local, America's number one.
Thanks. And wait, before you be Cookie and Cookie and Larry, before you leave, Cookie, what you pumping? And Larry, what you listening to? What hip hop artists you listening to? And come on up, Rhino. Come on. Cook, I know, but we still gotta ask Cookie, what you listening to?
Nas, Tupac, KRS, Joey Badass, and the Cypher in Jersey City. Pay attention to them. They're right now. The Cypher in Jersey City.
Okay.
Prince Evan Shakur.
Chairman, who you listening to? Who you got?
I'm always listening to Gil Scott Heron. Always.
Okay.
And you sound like him. You sound like him.
Always.
And DJ Rhino,
I listen to him so much. That's right.
And DJ Rhino, what's your response to that, sir?
You muted, Rhino.
You muted. We can't hear you. You muted. Okay.
Oh, bad. I'm all for that. I listen to Gil Scott a lot myself. You know what I mean? So now I'm all for that. And Cookie stays with the real, man. And I noticed that last time she was on the show. Some of the people that she brought up. So I know Cookie's about the real deal. Larry, like I said, I stay with Gil Scott. That's a good one. Gil Scott, Last Poets, all that.
Yes. Could I say something real quick though? It's not hip hop, but I gotta say it anyway. Tomorrow is the birthday of Sarah Vaughan, one of the greatest jazz vocalists ever produced in history, and she was born in Newark, New Jersey, March 27, 1924. I love her. My favorite Sarah Vaughan song is "Tenderly." I don't know, y'all too young to know any of that.
Jazz is all time.
Favorite song.
See, I'm the jazz DJ here. See, so
all right,
you all right?
Hey, this is Women's Month. Say a woman. I'm Mary J. and Lauren Hill. What's up? Give a woman, y'all. It's Woman Month.
Right on.
That's right.
That's right. And was great.
Larry, Rhino had us all go home and watch the documentary on Netflix that talked about Biggie, and there was who was the jazz person in there that was his mentor, Rhino? I can't think of his name.
I don't remember his name. There
was a jazz artist.
He was one of the local guys there.
Yeah, he was a local guy from New York that mentored Biggie and helped him develop his beat style. So I'll get that to you, Chairman.
Wow. And don't forget, we got a street in Newark named after Sarah Vaughan, and the New Jersey Performing Arts Center is on that street. Sarah Vaughan Place.
Sarah Vaughan Way, yeah, it should have been
Sarah Vaughan Way. It's way,
yeah.
Okay. Sarah Vaughan Way. All right.
All right, y'all.
Well,
all right,
thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a blessed one.
Love y'all.
God bless y'all.
Thank you. Rhino, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I'm glad we didn't have a whole lot of time because I didn't really have a whole lot for the segment, but I did want to say happy anniversary to Busta Rhymes.
Okay.
Back in '96 on this day, he released his debut album, The Coming, and that was a big deal for Busta Rhymes. Because Busta was around. Busta's been around since 1990, like 89, 90, when he was with Leaders of the New School. And Tribe Called Quest kind of broke them out on the scenario. But you know,
Busta, remember Terry? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but Busta Rhymes, you know, since then, from Leaders of the New School fame, and just a side note, Chuck D gave him his name Busta Rhymes, and he gave the group the name Leaders of the New School. Chuck D from Public Enemy. But
I didn't know. Go ahead.
He ended up, since then he ended up getting his own his own fame as a solo artist, because everybody was getting Busta Rhymes as like a featured artist on their single, on their song. So he became one of those guys who just blew up as a featured artist. So he ended up getting his own solo career off the ground, and The Coming was his debut album. And today in '96 was the day that he released his debut album. So happy anniversary to Busta Rhymes. Also,
5 years.
Wait, before you leave Busta Rhymes, Rhino, when Kerry ran for president, Mayor Baraka did a rap to vote here in Newark, and down in what's the park in front of Military Park? He did a rap concert, and he did and Busta Rhymes came out there, and Raz brought Busta Rhymes and the whole that. And Wyclef and all of them came, but that rap board event that Mayor Baraka did was everything.
You talking about the political convention, the hip hop political convention?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, me and G performed at that also.
I was there, sir.
Yeah, me and G we got footage of some of that stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, you got to bring that footage up, because he brought everybody. Busta Rhymes brought everybody out.
Yeah. We were a part of that. Yeah, so definitely big ups to Busta Rhymes. Also, on this day in 1990, Digital Underground released their debut album, Sex Packets. And if anybody remembers, Digital Underground, you know, on their song, Same Song, they were the ones that brought out Tupac for the first time. Tupac got his opening verse on
what's the guy with the big nose on Digital Underground?
That was Humpty. Yeah. That was Shock G's alter ego. That was Shock G's alter ego. He would throw the nose on that and throw the voice, and he would become somebody else. He would become Humpty. But yeah, so big ups to them as well, Digital Underground. But also, you know, I know last week we were talking about how, you know, after all these years, the Grammys finally acknowledged Nas.
Yes.
For his King's Disease album, right? And we know he really deserved that for his very first album, Illmatic. But the new news now is that his first album, his debut album, Illmatic, has been accepted into the Library of Congress, into the U.S. Library of Congress. So that's a big deal. We're gonna see what happens with that being inducted into the Library of Congress. So congratulations to Nas for that as well.
Awesome. That's right. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely. Awesome.
Ed, you're gonna stop bullying me, okay? I'm sitting here quiet, and you're in the background bullying me, okay?
Yeah, I wasn't bullying you. Me and Zaire gonna have to talk to you after the show. That's all.
That's right.
We got a conversation for you.
I'm sitting here quiet. I'm like, go ahead.
So
you got something to say, Donna?
No, Ed, I mean, but Rhino, you got my text and everything last night when I was in the village last night, right? Yeah, that's it. We'll talk about it, yeah. But
Rhino, you check out the young sister. You checked out the young sister I was telling you about.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some music from her so I can play it on the show.
Yeah, bad little
she's
sister.
Pretty good. She's pretty good. I like what she was saying. I definitely want to get some stuff.
She's spitting.
So Rhino, I got a question for you, right?
What's up?
So did you see that article that Method Man put out where he said he don't know how the hell these rappers are making all that money today? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw a clip of that. Yeah, I saw the article. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, because I was having a conversation with some brothers on the coast, right? Some of the old school rappers, and they were saying the same thing. They were saying, shit, man. We're saying, yo, I'm still hustling, doing other stuff, man. Like, how are these cats making that money, man? Putting up $100,000 up to the air like they're listening to a telephone or something. He said, yo, man, he said, we never made that kind of money, right?
You got to listen, man. Think about it, though. You know, Melly Mel has something that's going viral now. I think I don't even want to say the guy's name because I don't support the guy, his podcast, but Melly Mel is on somebody else's podcast where he's kind of going at Jay-Z and Eminem.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's been going on for years. I mean, I remember coming up, you know, when the boom bap era, I call the boom bap era like Run DMC, LL, I call that the boom bap era, when the drum machines and all that came in. The boom bap era, when that came in, you heard a lot of that kind of talk from you know, the old school pioneers. Like, they were like, how are these dudes coming out here? They getting all this money and they ain't do what we did. You know, they didn't go through the experiences that we went through, and they didn't, you know, that kind of thing. So I think it's a generational thing where it's like, you know, it just happens over time where, you know, because my generation has definitely said some of the same thing. You know, like,
but they probably learn from their mistakes, right? I mean, they learn and they watch them and they learn.
You learn from your mistakes, but don't also don't forget how the system works. Like,
Right.
You learn from your mistakes as far as not learning you know, you didn't know the business as well as you may know it now or whatever. You know, you didn't know the business, and so that's how you missed out on money back in the day. But also, just know that there's an agenda with this game that we play. You know what I'm saying? There's an agenda, and they work a certain way.
And I'm not talking about the old.
You got to be steps ahead of how they're gonna move. Otherwise, you're gonna get caught up in it. And
I'm not talking about
a lot of us are not playing chess.
Yeah, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the young kids learning from the mistakes of the like I guess, and it was very newsworthy stuff. Like Tupac didn't own a lot of stuff, and how they didn't own a lot of their masters and stuff. So I think with all of that information being out there, it gave the younger people the knowledge that how to negotiate going forward.
Yeah, some of them, because not all of them, because some of them don't care about the mistakes that the earlier generations made, you know. But yeah, there are some that have watched that, and the talk now for a few years now has definitely been to have ownership of your master. So that's definitely that's definitely where it's at. Period. However old you are, wherever you are in the game, that's the main goal. I mean, you know what Anita Baker's going through it now.
It's right now. Yep.
Yeah, De La Soul went through it recently with Tommy Boy Records. So, like, you know, that's the main thing, is getting hold of your masters, having total control of your masters, because you don't know what they're going to do with your music in the future. You don't know what.
And as a producer, and I said I was going to ask you a question. As a producer, Ed, and I said, Rhino, I sent over to everybody, hey, are you guys watching Genius? And Rhino, you went right back to me and was like, you know, unfortunately, the family is not supporting this. But Ed, as a producer, when you're a person, you know, that's a star, I don't have to ask you to write your story, right? You know, I mean, you want the family support, but I don't have to get it.
Right. You're a public figure. And that's the law. The law is, if you're a public figure, I don't have to get your permission to write a book about you, to write a story about you, right? As long as I don't tell any lies about you, right? Then you can't sue me for defamation, right? But I can make a whole bunch of accusations. I just can't lie, right? Outright.
They can control the narrative. They can control the narrative. Because, like, from what I heard about this one, the genius, because like I said, there's two of them. And the one that's out now is the Genius one. And what I understand is that it's very dark. They kind of focus a lot on the dark side of Aretha's career and her backstory. And the family wasn't really happy with that, in the direction that it was going in. And they spoke up about it, and they I guess in response they got treated a certain way by the company that was handling the movie, you know, the biopic. So, you know, I know there were people in the family that came online on social media and said not to support that one because of how they were treated and how the story was handled.
And I wonder, as a producer, I mean, I watched it. I've been watching it. I mean, it's you know, National Geographic is doing it, and it's good. It's dark, informative, you know, because we all want to have a bird's eye view into something. But I think it characterizes her. She's a genius, but guess what? And here's the thing that made me think: a lot of Black people are in there. I mean, what's his name from ATL? My dude, light skinned. Everybody's in there. T.I. is in it. I mean, every you're talking about a movie, and you said it with Coming Back to America. A lot of Black people got roles in this movie. Everybody is in this movie.
So that's the thing. It's always you know, that flip side to it, you know. Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. I still want to see it and see how it is. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But rest in peace, Aretha Franklin. She definitely.
Dude, her birthday was yesterday.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. It came out on her birthday.
79. Would have been 79.
Wow.
But see, but that's one of the issues that's always going to happen, because we don't tell our own stories, right? And because other people see it and they begin to tell the stories, and then Black folk get upset about it. But we've got to tell our own stories, and a lot of times we don't want to tell our own stories because a lot of it is real dirty, right? And so that's really what that is. I mean, you think about it. When people saw Aretha Franklin's story, right, it was dirty, right? But it was the truth. I mean, she was getting her ass kicked by her husband, but it wasn't just her. It was a lot of Black women at that time who were getting beat up by their husband. Right?
Tammy Terrell was her anniversary the other day. David Ruffin put her through hell.
That was just the kind of the day. I just read an article where Sugar Ray Leonard's son said that Sugar Ray Leonard used to beat his mother so bad that he beat her till she would be bloody. This is Sugar Ray Leonard, the lightweight, middleweight.
And then we know what a Sugar Ray Leonard could do to somebody.
Right. And so this is his son, Sugar Ray Leonard Jr., saying this, right? And so he said that he still has issues with that, right? And he said now, he beats himself up for not beating Ray's ass when he could. So, I don't know, and he said he hoped one day to have his father on the speaking trail with him to speak to that, right? Because they've gone to therapy and, and have dealt with it. But so, and think about it. If somebody would have really tell Ray Leonard's side of the story, right, and really talked about his drug use and how he beat his wife like that, trust me, Ray Leonard's media pull would go down because people don't know that side of him. They don't know that about him.
That's right.
Right?
He was the American darling coming out of the 76 Olympics.
That's right.
Red, white, blue, and everything.
After those championship fights, right? Because he divorced his wife in 1990.
Right.
But after those fights, this is his son who is now 40-something years old. And he said he was around 10 years old when his mother was getting her ass kicked.
And he's dealing with the trauma now.
Dealing with the trauma. And as a 40-year-old man, right, he says even now, that stuff still bothers him. When he's out there speaking about it, when he looks at his mother in the face, and he has to realize that he did absolutely nothing about it. But listen, y'all, we out of time, so I'm gonna give you an opportunity to make some last statements. Donna, you can go first because I don't want you to go last.
No, everybody just.
Let me just end off real quick by just saying also rest in peace to Eazy-E. We also lost him on this day back in 1995. Mm-hmm. We lost him to AIDS.
Right. That was a big story.
He got the AIDS and all that, but we lost that brother back in 1995 on this day. So rest in peace to Eazy-E, who's actually also my birthday brother. We had the same birthday.
Wow. Didn't realize that, Ronald.
Yeah. Well, I'll just close by saying it's important to tell the stories because when Ice Cube did this show and highlighted Eazy-E's, you got a different picture of him and how he struggled through that AIDS. But I just want to be thankful for this day, the warm day. Spring is upon us. It was a beautiful day. The wind was wicked, but everybody have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next weekend.
Right on. And tomorrow we're on the street. I want to shout out Gail. Demo mentioned Sarah Vaughn. There's a young sister named Gail Campbell, who's a singer who kind of moves on the spoken word circuit locally. She's supposed to be doing a musical tribute at some point in the coming year dedicated to Sarah Vaughn. So, I'm glad he raised that. It's at some point we might want to have her on as she gets close to that. Right? Tomorrow, we're down at Edna Mahan, April 2nd in the street to remember Dr. King, solidarity with Amazon, free Mumia, free Sundiata, free them all.
And Mike, go ahead. You always in the background. How about you step up to the front?
I was up to the front. Yeah, today was a very, very good show, especially the second segment with Assemblywoman Timberlake and women that on the show together. Like, really, when I'm out there, like, I work in Newark, so when I see a lot of people, they really feel that they were forgotten, especially during this crisis. And seeing how they work so hard behind the scenes to help people, even when it comes to employment, even when it comes to housing, it opened my eyes that people weren't forgotten. So it's really important that all did. I think that was a really important segment that you guys had. I'm really happy that someone spoke about the legislation. I think overall it was a very amazing show that y'all put together. Did y'all hear me at all?
Well, we did hear you, Mike. We just got some feedback, so we got to work on that. I appreciate you finally coming from the background and speaking.
So heard.
We appreciate that. Go ahead, Rhino. Any final words?
That's it, man. I'm good, man. Peace to everybody, man. It was a good show. It's always good to see, Assemblywoman Timberlake. That's it, man.
Brittany was good though with the question, but what you
also big ups to John because we missed him tonight.
Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah. All right. So listen, y'all. Again, it was an absolutely great show. We want to thank the disciples for coming through and doing this show. It got heated for a minute. I thought Zaid was going to go in a whole nother direction, but I appreciate you for dialing it back. And so we want to appreciate the disciples. It was an outstanding show, and of course we thank Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake for co-hosting tonight. She did an awesome job. And thank you, John, for putting that together. Appreciate you. I'm going to have to give you a middle name, but I'll tell you that offline. And then, of course, we thank Chick Revere, man. She's a dope sister. Always appreciate her contribution and felt her emotion tonight, And what can we say about the great Larry Hammond, man, right? There are really no words. I mean,
this year marked 50 years of him being in the streets.
Yeah. So there's absolutely no words.
We need more time for that, and that's what I put a pinhole in that.
Exactly. Right. We need his own time slot for that, right? Mm-hmm. And we need to do that for him. We need to honor him in that way. And if we were in the studio, we would do it, and it would be people in the studio, and we would have food, and we would really let him know we appreciate those 50 years.
That's right.
So to Ademo, we appreciate you, my brother. And of course, I thank all of y'all. And Mike, I thank you for always making us look real professional and sharp in terms of how you keep the show running, my brother. So I appreciate that. And of course, Rhino, that because John said we get muted, so we do miss your music. Can't wait till we get back in the studio so we can get back to work. So I know that the university is supposed to be releasing what the guidance is going to be. So hopefully we'll know real soon what that's going to mean for us as well, so we can get back into the building. All right. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Of course, this is all Politics and Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We'll see y'all next week.
Right on.